It's been quite the week in the world of wrestling. We've seen what's happened at SmackDown. We've seen that we're marching on to Sunday for Sting's final match. We've had quite a week on Sportswire Radio. We inducted arguably the youngest Hall of Famer in history, and any company's Hall of Fame or any organization or sports Hall of Fame. And we had a real type of conversation last night. I said a few things. There was some announcements made that were pretty real. I even read a letter on the air. I've received merchandise, but we're going to forget about all that because we are getting you ready for the road to WrestleMania and more with two of my guys, including the host of the Hockey Fan Chat. He is our senior wrestling analyst, a man that dabbled a little bit in the wrestling world himself. He's holding our championship, Mr. Randy Dillon, and also a man that is the host of the Be More Talkative podcast. He is also getting in the world of logos, designs, and other type of artwork. So if you need him for that, hit him up on Instagram and Facebook. He is also wearing, I would imagine, an Undertaker shirt, certainly not a Kane shirt. His name is Mr. TBK, a.k.a. the Baltimore Kid. And speaking of Baltimore, we are expecting at some point the coach, Chris Craven. But until then, gentlemen, how you doing? And give me some of your reactions on a rather interesting SmackDown, I would suppose.
Tom, great to be with you and TBK. Hopefully the coach will join us. But listen, we are on the fast lane to WrestleMania. I think everyone was expecting that match to be announced with Roman Reigns, The Rock versus Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. But the stipulation there, I think that was a surprising thing.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I did not. Did anybody see that coming?
I mean, like I said, I think they're laying it out for us right now. I don't know. To me, it still seems a little predictable. It almost seems like we know what we're talking about because I think we've been calling this throughout the last couple of weeks. But
is that a good thing or a bad thing that we're calling it on Sportswire? Because I wonder these days if that's good or bad.
Well, you know what? I mean, it's good that we know what we're talking about, but maybe not so much that they're making it.
Well, I mean, some in the wrestling world would say I have no idea what I'm talking about, but you gentlemen certainly do. But yes,
we don't talk to those people, Tom.
We don't talk to those marks.
Well, there's marks that are actually in the wrestling world that we work with, but that's here nor there. But yeah, I guess so. That's a good thing, you think, TBK. But do you think? And I'll come back to the coach and how you doing, Coach. Nice to see you as always. Also, our 15th member of the Hall of Fame. And I know TBK at some point soon down the road will join these guys in the Hall of Fame. But you think that's a good thing, TBK, that we're calling these things, and you like the stipulation that we heard that obviously if Cody and Seth win, that Cody gets basically no bloodline, and The Rock went off on a tangent on kind of what we might see in the match itself. I mean, what did you make of that?
Well, I mean, I think it's good if you actually got to watch the segment. If you were there live, you got to see it. If you were watching it at home, it was going off every 5 seconds.
I was funny you said that. I was wondering, okay, did my illegal Cody box? Did I do something? Did I not pay it correctly, or did I piss somebody off?
We had that same issue up here in Canada as well. I'm like, I paid my fees, my subscription down there.
Yeah,
I was like, what promoter now did I piss off? I was wondering, okay, did somebody want to mess with my frequency? But no, I guess that was bizarre. That was the whole segment, pretty much. Yeah, I was wondering about that. So I guess. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, I mean, you drag on a segment for what feels like, 20, 25 minutes. You get to
see my God, yeah.
Maybe a quarter of it.
The company didn't want to hear all the booze.
They want
all the booze aired on TV.
It had to be something. But, I think the no bloodline stipulation is cute. Obviously, if it's not going to happen, there's got to be some kind of bloodline involvement. They're not going to leave them off the show. Again, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'm just enjoying the ride. We'll see where it goes.
Excellent. And speaking of people that are enjoying the ride, obviously our coach, Chris Craven, who I just have to ponder seeing that green Power Ranger in the background. I mean, are you doing your best Tommy impersonation or Tommy impression with the new hair and the look? I mean, because I was thinking about that.
No, but I did get a new artifact of his.
Well, that might be worth a lot these days. I might want to hold on to that,
called me up specifically to tell me about it.
Oh wow! Well, you know what? I mean, yeah, it's funny. I had
I got a couple other things here too. So
Well, I could certainly see that. I mean, people these days that people get mad that they can't call me because I literally get like 70 messages a day, and I'm like, well, right now I'm in the middle of things, but I am glad to make time with you, gentlemen. Coach, always good to see you as always. And what did you make of that segment? And also talk about the stipulation. Would that throw you a curveball there at all? Did the stipulation throw a curveball there at you?
I'll get to Omen in a minute.
Oh, I see.
The stipulation. No, it didn't throw a curveball. I kind of was expecting them to do something that was going to try to make it intriguing. I mean, you look at it this way, and this is kind of how my mindset was while watching it. Either The Rock's going to screw Roman out, or he's going to cost Roman the match by losing. It's kind of like maybe that's going to be the swerve in The Rock, because everybody thinks The Rock's going to turn on Roman. A lot of people I talk to think that's going to happen.
Well, did you guys notice tonight that it was sort of when The Rock came out, did Roman and The Rock make contact at all?
No. Not until the end. Not until the end of the segment.
To the very end, but there was like
no
contact, no nothing.
I'm kind of thinking that you may see a swerve like Rock turning, or at least The Rock losing the match for Roman, putting Roman by himself, or they lose. Cody and Seth wind up losing.
Right.
And then you get some other unexpected help in Cody's corner come night 2.
Well, I mean, and this kind of where I throw it back to Randy, and I'll say hello to people in a few minutes, that there's some talk about somebody that could give some significant help that's had his problems with the bloodline, and some guy named John Cena out there. That's been the big chatter throughout Twitter all day and yesterday. I mean, would that be the person? Because I'm kind of inclined to agree with TBK.
I wouldn't be surprised if every enemy of the bloodlines came out to help Cody.
But that's a long list, though. But I mean,
I know. Or at least enough to get the rest of the bloodline members away from ringside. So
okay,
all
right. So fair point. I'll come back to you, and I want to ask Randy this because he posted it on Twitter, and I was following Randy on Twitter. I try to share some of Randy's posts when it comes to what I see on Twitter. I mean, is John Cena that person that could help? Because I'm inclined to think that if the way this is going to go, that Roman and The Rock win night 1, and Cody's going to have to go through some obstacles at night 2. I just can't see The Rock and Roman losing night 1. I mean, what do you think on all that, Randy, and especially John Cena?
No, so definitely with night 1, I definitely see Rock and Roman winning, not because of them just beating, because Drew McIntyre, the X Factor, are going to be in this match, because we don't know when him and Seth are going to have their championship match. Is it going to be early night 1 or later in night 2? So he could play a factor there. And then second, I think John Cena is the guy right now you're going to need in that corner. He's had an issue with the bloodline.
Well, look at what Solo did to him months ago.
Definitely.
Did anybody miss them chanting Triple H?
Couldn't miss it. Well, if you did miss it, it's because they kept cutting it out.
Keep in mind, The Rock really sat there and said, "There's no management, there's no GM, there's nobody in power back there that could, get in his way of his authority, right?"
The only other one I would say would be Austin. Triple H, I don't see him getting involved physically.
He can't. I thought he couldn't get involved anymore.
He can't get involved physically. So that's why I feel like we're not going to see him. I could see him maybe coming out trying to get the bloodline or control, but I don't see him kind of running him. I could see Stone Cold making a big appearance and helping Cody in his corner. Him and Cena, because we don't know Dustin's going to show up. I don't
think Dustin's showing up.
It's not going to be likely, I think, at this point.
No, Triple H can't get physically involved, but Triple H has a plethora of talent and a roster that he could send out there in favor of Cody.
Well, there's a
laundry list of names that the Triple H could say, "I'm gonna send him out."
So he can't get involved physically, but he could totally, again. So what I could see is if they choose to have Rock and Roman lose, and then again they do the whole bloodline can't show up. That's not going to fly. That's how Roman has retained every single time. So what Triple H can't do physically, he can do I wouldn't say metaphorically, he can do verbally. So he could, honestly, I could see his music hitting, him walking out there.
He can do cerebrally.
Well, there you go. I could see him walking out there. His music hits, they get the big pop, and him go, "You said that nobody can do anything to you. Watch this. Restart the match." And Cody pick up the victory that way.
I could see that. I could also see him and Heyman getting involved because Heyman's more the political factor. Him and Heyman trying to convince him, or Heyman trying to do something funny there, and then Triple H just decking. But I look at this.
That would be good.
The 3 members of the bloodline, you need to have partners with them. Jimmy has Jay, so definitely see Jay.
Jimmy and Jay.
The Rock and right now Solo don't have people. Solo's obvious is John Cena's. And then I have to think The Rock at this point, his obvious would be Stone Cold, the guy I've been colliding with for so many years.
Yeah, I mean, Stone Cold would be, I guess, because of The Rock, the history, one more time, The Rock and Stone Cold, I suppose, could maybe square off in some form. I mean, Coach, I see you nodding there. What do you want to say?
Stone Cold's not too far-fetched, but I don't know. I don't know. Every time that we've sat here and we've talked about what the obvious thing is, we've been swerved. So do you go with the obvious thing, being Stone Cold, or being John Cena? Do you go with the obvious, or does the company have something up their sleeve?
Okay, but Randy made a point, and so did TBK did, that, to be fair, we've been talking about this, or as they used to say, we're war gaming it out more or less. And, and kind of in a way, haven't we called most of this from what the guys are telling me here? I mean, I don't know if I've called it or not. I tend to not take a position on that. But, I mean, from what Randy...
shots, but we've also sat here and depicted shows with each other like, what the fuck just happened? Like, we've sat here. Like,
yeah.
Do we not all remember the SmackDown where Cody came out and allegedly gave his spot to The Rock? We all got up on here and was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like, I mean, look, I think every wrestling fan did, though. But I think every wrestling fan did. Now, it's to be determined whether that was something WWE had to call an audible on, or they were really pulling a ruse. I don't know. That's,
Like I said it needs to go. I think that there's going to be more swerves as we go into Mania and even at Mania. And you're right, Randy. Maybe Austin does show up. Maybe Cena does show up. Maybe it ain't that. Maybe it's Hogan. Maybe. No, serious. American hero, American nightmare.
Yeah, but Hogan's 70. I mean,
no shit, and he has no business being out there.
Okay. Now I know we'll get to this later, but I watched Flair attempt punches on the Young Bucks. And I know
I'm just shooting off examples,
but I just can't see Hogan doing anything physical. Now, Stone Cold, you want to buy? I can go with it because I think Stone Cold's still in enough shape. We saw him a couple years ago, but I can't buy Hogan with anything related to this. Stone Cold, I could buy because of The Rock. I don't.
I'm just saying examples. It could be anybody. Going into Mania, that's the whole beautiful thing. And TBK said this is one hell of a ride. We all enjoy the ride. That's the wonderful thing, or the beautiful thing about this Mania is like Triple H and the writers and everybody that's calling the shots has kept a lot of people guessing.
I agree.
And you're going into this show on that exciting ride, and it's a roller coaster. And I mean, anything could happen. It could be Austin. It could be Hogan. For Christ's sakes, Taker's bells could gong. Anything could happen.
It has to be someone with a pop. Like, you need someone that's going to give you that big
I don't think
pop.
Hogan in Philadelphia gives the pop. I think Undertaker would give the pop. I think Stone Cold would give the pop. And I think Cena would.
I'm going into WrestleMania. Like, I'm going to sit down here that weekend, and I'm going into Mania with an open mind at anything and everything.
I know there's a lot of people that want to comment. I'll hold on 1 second for the comments. I'll throw this out there. Anybody can take it and go swing at it. Would Braun Breaker in any way do anything for you?
No. He hasn't had any involvement with the story. It wouldn't make any sense. Stone Cold.
They're Rybacking him right now. So
Stone Cold being the more viable option. The reason why I would go with Stone Cold is because if you've been paying attention to Instagram and social media in general, there has been videos surfacing of Stone Cold training, and it's a little bit too coincidental for those videos to just start popping up around this time. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Austin always kept himself in good shape, though. I mean, Austin's, he's always been in good shape.
Sure,
Here's
but
here's another wild card, though. What's the chance of CM Punk coming out from 10 years ago and costing The Rock something?
Yeah, but his Punk
he had that stick against The Rock, and he was the one who told Cody, "Go finish your story."
I already told you. I think
is Punk still, but can Punk
he's not
do anything?
He's not cleared, so I couldn't see him getting involved yet.
That's
I think definitely down the line. I
think the Punk injury is a work. I'm not sold on it yet. I think, if you have, again, you're trying to build this as the biggest WrestleMania ever. So yeah, I mean, who's to say he doesn't run out there with a hard cast and hit somebody with it?
I don't see CM Punk. I think Austin's a good one. I think Cena.
I think Austin will be there. I think a lot of veterans are going to be there.
Yeah.
In attendance. So, like I said, it could be anyone. Now,
Philadelphia is a big and Philadelphia is a big wrestling city.
Oh yeah.
Philadelphia is a major. You guys know. You guys are in Baltimore. You guys are near that area. Philadelphia is a hot wrestling town. I mean, so
Heyman gets pops there. I mean,
well, that's going to be interesting. Heyman's going to be there, and I'm sure that crowd's going to be very pro Heyman, but Heyman's going to be with Roman and The Rock. I have a lot of comments. Let me get to some people here first because people want to say something. Ron Franklin, how you doing, Ron? I know Ron will be here at some point. I know we'll shift gears and talk at the second half of the show, and we'll see how interesting it will be, but we'll talk about whatever's out there in the sports world. I have to admit, I know what's going on, but I think that the baseball world is nowhere near as interesting right now as the wrestling world. Sorry to the rest of the regular guys on the platform, but that's kind of what I think, but we'll see what they think, and they make their return. How you doing, Ethan Sorensen? We're doing great. I'm with you and everybody else out there on Sportswire Radio, and we have a lot of people tuned in. I know this was earlier, and by the way, he's injured right now at the moment, so he's obviously somebody that knows a thing or two about being injured, and like CM Punk, and that is Mr. Omen Black. Chris is looking more and more like Miss Trunchbull every time I see him with his hair slicked back and wearing sleeves. Just kidding, my main man. Good seeing you gentlemen again on my show. And Omen, by the way, will be the first two-time Sportswire Radio Hall of Famer coming up Monday night. We're actually going to probably be preempted because Omen is going to be inducted as a second time into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame with the group The House of Wolves. So looking forward to seeing Omen back on Sportswire. For people who don't know Miss Trunchbull from the movie Matilda, that was what, Danny DeVito, right? Is that Matilda? Oh, that's a while ago. That's a way back in the reference booth. But let me get to Ethan here. Honestly, Tom, SmackDown was really good. I like the backstage segment with Randy Orton, Austin Theory, and Grayson Waller. And John Cena has to be the only other person that has dealt with the bloodline. Well, I mean, Austin would have history with The Rock. I mean, which I would make that believable. But okay, let's transition. I mean, Randy Orton, did you like the main event to close tonight? I mean, Logan Paul is back next week. Would you like Owens and Orton kind of there at the end with Waller and Theory? I mean, Waller and Theory, I don't know. Some people right now on Twitter, if you guys are following what Austin Theory removed from WWE TV, I don't know if that's a little bit, might be a little bit too severe. But did you guys like how the show ended, conversely?
I think it was a good end. I think it is setting up for a big multi-man match with Logan Paul, because otherwise why Kevin Owens would be out there as well. It's going to depend if LA Knight and AJ Styles going to be good. But I thought as well, like Austin Theory did a pretty good job in the ring. I know he gets kicked around a lot, but his in-ring talent.
Yeah, I said the same thing on Monday's show. I think he's a solid worker. Just unfortunately, he doesn't have the luck, you might want to say.
Yeah, but overall, I thought it was pretty good how they ended, and I think it's setting up definitely something for next week when Logan Paul returns.
Yeah, Logan Paul's going to get killed by Randy Orton.
But people want to see that, though. But don't people want to see that?
I do.
All right,
I wanted to see Cody smack The Rock in the mouth tonight, but that didn't happen.
Well, did anybody see, before I come back to TBK, did anybody see on Twitter the Rock's video on Instagram with the reaction to Seth Rollins? I mean, that was something we could talk about shortly. But, for you, TBK, do you like how SmackDown ended, conversely?
I think it was good. I have to disagree with you, though, Ethan. I wouldn't say this SmackDown was good. I would say that this SmackDown
yeah.
was kind
Half
of
and half.
strange.
Half and half. Yeah. Half and half.
I mean, for God's sake, you had LA Knight walking behind the back with a chair the whole time looking for AJ. The whole time. Didn't have him come out, not once, just walking backstage with a chair. Like, I don't know. I like I said, I mean, I like the fact that, again, Randy is in that point in his life right now where he's working with the younger guys. He's making them look like $1 million. I don't know if I would say that I would go as far as to try to get, oh my God, Austin Theory removed off of TV. But, I think as we were talking about last week, I'm going to say it. You ready? Vince, he tried to, bill him as a champion, and obviously
he was the main event for many months on Raw, for a long period of time.
And Paul just was like, no, no, you ain't there yet.
I think the reaction from the audience has been they don't want it either. I think that's the point why a lot of social media would like to see Austin Theory off SmackDown TV, more or less.
But if you can make hold on real quick, Chris, my bad. If you can make the correlation, Austin Theory almost reminds me of a young Randy Orton. He's cocky, he's brash, he's out there, he's like the annoying kid who won't shut up, thinks he's the shit, this, that, and that. So, I mean, to see them two working together, it's not so far-fetched for me. It actually makes a lot of sense.
You wanted to say something, Coach? Because I think you were cut off there. Would you like to say something?
I'd say put Grayson Waller versus Austin Theory on the opening show, night one, and call it a day.
Well, we were talking Monday on the show, and there was at least a moment or two that maybe you saw that possibility. And I would think maybe after the outcome of this, unless, are you going maybe, I guess, a multi-person match, maybe Logan, Waller in Theory against Owens and Orton, maybe, attraction match?
No, I would have to think Logan Paul has a match for the U.S. title. Maybe, I could see Theory and Waller maybe involved in something. Maybe they do a tag team match, or there's something going to happen between them in the Andre Giant Memorial Battle Royal that they do before Mania. But I don't see kind of Theory and Waller having anything to do yet. I think they're going to kind of slow burn this till after Mania before the feud gets running.
Would that do anything for those guys to kind of go and tear each other apart? Does that do anything, you think?
It does 1-for-1. Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
TBK, Heather's on.
Oh, is it, you mean Ashley?
Heather.
Are you trying to break kayfabe, George? I was listening to TBK and Tribal Cheese the other day again on Sportzwire Radio.org, and Tribal Cheese was saying he still keeps kayfabe, basically. And
I know
right here.
I'm not good at it. I just break it.
SmackDown didn't unveil a lot. It really didn't. Like the opening segment.
Dakota Kai, maybe. Did we not? We could. I mean, that was revealed. Dakota Kai is not on Bayley's side. I mean, she's back with Damage Control. Maybe that's one thing that was revealed. I mean, they kind of
that was predictable. I know, but that was predictable.
I don't know. I didn't really see it. I mean, I got to be honest with you. I didn't see it coming. I kind of thought maybe they would have Dakota and Bayley team up for a little while.
Come on over on SmackDown.
I'm with you, TBK, on that. Because I think because it now put the suspense on what WWE kind of done. I think this is a real disadvantage of them. It put the suspense now on AEW on Wednesday now to see is Mercedes Sasha Banks gonna show up there on Wednesday? Because again, there's only one person Bayley wants in her corner, and that's her best friend Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné. But we don't know her status till Wednesday apparently. What's going to happen?
You really think? I'm kidding. I don't know. I mean, it's in Boston. They've kind of had the reference. I mean, didn't she sit on AEW TV one time in the past? Didn't she was in the crowd? I mean,
for the all out, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I guess it could never say never. We say it all the time, and I want to say hello to Levi McDaniel, of course. How you doing to the foundation? Of course, the foundation do have the tag team championships in the IMF, but Omen certainly is on the shelf because he lost the hardcore title. But and also Sean Jovi lost very controversially for you, Coach, the Interstate Championship to Craven Rage, and Craven was here Wednesday, but that's a different topic for a different time. Yes, I see the reference, but I guess never say never, but I mean, I'm still have to think that Mercedes Moné is AEW bound.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I was reading something online, and they were saying Rhea Ripley has taken that spot, and she has as one of the top people. Where kind of like she's replaced Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks, even if she returned, because Rhea Ripley's now at that different level. She's at that bigger level because before it was always Charlotte, Becky, Bayley, and Sasha or Mercedes. But now Rhea Ripley has inserted her name. You have the likes of Alexa Bliss, Bianca Belair, you have Jade Cargill waiting in the wing. I think Io Sky has done a good enough job to put her name up in that. So I definitely think like she's AEW bound because I think there's people ahead of her or getting ahead of her in WWE where she can't compete at that high
hasn't been
level.
on TV in what, almost 2 years? What's her worth when she hasn't been on TV for almost 2 years? No, it's a legitimate question. I mean, she has not been on TV, major WWE TV. Okay, she's had New Japan, like I said, the one appearance in AEW in the stands, but what would really be her worth to be that magnitude? She could save Bayley. I don't know. I think she's AEW bound Wednesday. AEW needs a shot in the arm. They're gonna have to figure out how to keep whatever momentum with Sting. They're gonna lose all of it after Sunday. So I mean, I just have to think that she's the person Wednesday. I mean, this Tony Khan's checkbook still isn't changing. It's still big.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I might be one of the minority who. Honestly, I don't care at this point. Wherever she goes is wherever she goes. I think she's going to be some saving grace for AEW? No. Do I think that she's, do I think she retains or earns her WWE status that she once had if she comes back? Absolutely not. I feel like she's absolutely going to have to work for that and grind for that. And with the attitude and with the money that she's probably going to want and expect and the treatment, you can't just waltz right back in and expect to go right back to your spot. It's just,
It's been almost 2 years. I mean, I think that the wrestling landscape has changed dramatically. And even when she was here, she was in a tag team with Naomi. She wasn't exactly at the top spot in the women's team. So I just don't see from a standpoint that it's worth it for her. Now, obviously, look, I mean, Cody Rhodes came back, and Cody Rhodes, the last time we remember him on WWE TV was Stardust. I mean, so Drew McIntyre was in 3-man band. I get it. Bobby Lashley didn't quite get to the pinnacle where he did when he came back. But I just think, to me, at the end of the day, I don't think the move is her coming back. I mean, that's just, I don't know.
I'm with you, Tom, and I'm exactly TBK. Like, there's other people that you're gonna have to crawl and wait. Like, look at today, Tiffany Stratton. Like, she has gone like in a few weeks to another level right now, and you have likes of Liv Morgan trying to figure out her placing. Alexa Bliss is probably going to return here.
Alexa Bliss, we'd have to think, is at some point coming back, right?
Becky Lynch is on fire right now. Nia Jax continue her dominance. And then you have the likes of Zoe Starr kind of waiting in the dark. Raquel Rodriguez. Like, you have people there that...
And Jade Cargill. Cargill.
You have people out there that really kind of like... She's going to have to work to get ahead of them, where AEW, she'll get that opportunity. But the thing is with AEW is where we've seen so much is you can, unless you know how to work that politics and get somehow in Tony Khan's good book, you're going to get forgotten. I'm going to give Dina Prizzo an example. Deonna Purrazzo. After this Sunday, what's going to happen this weekend? What's really going to happen to her? Because I don't see her taking the title off Timeless Tony Storm.
What probably happens to her is with everybody else that happens in AEW. They kind of wallow in, mediocrity. That's what the company is, mediocrity.
What did you just say, Randy? You got to be on Tony Khan's good book?
Good.
That's what he said. Yeah, that's what he said. Politics. He said the politics.
Every person that comes from WWE that Tony Khan marks over is in his good book.
Well, except Keith Lee.
You know what? Keith Lee's like on a milk carton. That's a good point. And Miro. I think Miro for the most part.
Andrade, look at him. He was one that didn't work. Malachi Black. I think the debate about him.
I mean,
debatable.
Tony Khan's not done helping Edger's leg right now. He's, so if Sasha Banks comes in, then fine, whatever. She'll have to deal with that weirdo. If she doesn't pop up, maybe start speculating that she'll be helping Bailey.
Which is what Randy was talking about. By the way, before I get to some more comments, what chip were you having? I was curious on the chip. Oh, it's a good choice, by the way. I cannot disagree with that. For whatever reason, I had the thought of you having pork rinds in my brain. I don't know why, but I thought like from Raphael in the original for whatever reason, Coach, I thought on air on Sportswire you were having pork rinds, but I digress. We have some comments, and let me get to them. This person here who shall rename or be named anonymous says Jade.
Heather.
Certainly.
Be named differently, right?
I will say that wrestling chick's on there. I don't know anybody named Heather. It's that wrestling chick. So you know what? As far as I don't know a Heather, but I will say hello to that wrestling chick. And I want to say hello to the Big Bad Silver Wolf because the Big Bad Silver Wolf was here last Saturday at Sportswire. And apparently he might be wrestling Anthony Steele. But that's a different topic for a different time. So hopefully we'll see him and Anthony Steele in the ring. But until then, we'll certainly move on. But yeah, it could be. You know what? It's a big talk of the world there. He does want to say hello to Craven. He said he's not a big fan of Craven Rage, but he's a big fan of Coach Chris Craven. So the Big Bad Silver Wolf.
He already said it twice.
Well, I've heard through the grapevine a lot of people are apparently not big fans of Craven Rage, but that's, I'm not going to go there because, we want to make it all wrestling matters. But I have a good question from Ethan because I don't want to talk about Craven Rage.
He's still got this whole gimmick infringement thing going.
Well, Craven Rage was here Wednesday night on Sportswire. I had him on for almost 2 hours, so I'm going to move away from that because I had him here for 2 hours. But I got a good question from Ethan Sorensen, which nobody's really spoken about for a while. Do you think that Ronda Rousey will return to the WWE one of these times or not really? After what she said a few months ago, I'd say probably not. But what do you guys think about Ronda Rousey in the WWE ring again?
Down the road, but not anything imminent.
That's fair. I can respect that.
Yeah, if they do after that, after how she went out with that abysmal ass match, they got to come up with something. It's got to be. I won't even say fantastic. It's just got to be better than that.
Yeah, that was one of those that you have to wonder if it was on purpose or not. You have to wonder. It was kind of
that reminded me of Goldberg and Brock Lesnar WrestleMania 20.
You know what my other thought was because I was hearing him talk about this the other day.
Only both of them didn't leave. One stayed.
Well, no, that actually the alternative was Stone Cold Steve Austin stayed because he was the one that actually got the upper hand at the end of the match. He stunned both of them.
Yeah. There that debate that match should have been in the fight pit rather than MMA style, and I think it could have ended much better. I just think the type of match they had with MMA style, I think someone said it. I think it was Raj Sharman, really popular on Twitter and stuff with wrestling. He said it like these MMA style matches just don't work in professional wrestling because
they don't click because our audience is not UFC MMA. It's a different vibe. It's a different thing there. And also, my other thought about Ronda in a bad match, final match of somebody for a while before they left was Sid Justice versus Hulk Hogan, WrestleMania 8. It was another one that was not a great finish there. Justice Sid Justice. Well, Sid we can say actually on Sportswire. Sid's okay, apparently. He's been going after Ryback.
Sid Vicious.
Psycho Sid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's been going after Ryback, by the way, for months on Twitter. I don't know if you've been
following. I don't even know how Ryback is still relevant these days.
That's one guy I just wish would go the hell away.
Wait, hold on. You've got broken leg versus broken brain.
But you know what, though? I got to say this, and I will get to comments. I wonder why wasn't Sid, speaking of Hall of Fame in Philadelphia, because he technically wrestled in Philadelphia for ECW for a very brief period. I wonder why Sid isn't in the Hall of Fame. Why isn't he on the Hall of Fame? I guess the nacho chips are more interesting than Sid being in the Hall of Fame. Okay. I would think though that
at least he's on brand with the blue bag. Give him that.
I would think though, at least with a Psycho Sid Hall of Fame speech, it would be rather interesting and rather entertaining, especially after some of the things he said in his mouth. I mean, I'm just saying. I mean,
I don't know. Did he kill anybody? No.
Almost. Well, he's actually almost killed somebody, and he crapped in his pants in the main event of WrestleMania. So what a legacy!
We know that he killed his leg.
Yes, that was his last match in WCW, and he wrestled a grand total of like 12 more times after that. Yes, he almost killed Arn Anderson with scissors. He crapped in his pants in the main event of WrestleMania 13, and he broke his leg going off the top rope at Sold Out for the world title. Yes, he's got quite a legacy, and on top of that, he talked about in a promo how he could beat himself up, basically. So I mean, yes, he's had quite the legacy.
Clearly, the drugs aren't.
Which is why I would love to induct him. Which is why I would love to induct Sid in the Sportswire Hall of Fame.
Get him on here. Let's have.
I told you. See, it's good for business. Obviously, we'll move on about the chips. Okay, let me ask you guys a question, a legitimate question. I want to come back to it. Is we're talking with Randy Dillon, of course, the host of the Hockey Fan Chat, our 14th member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, the 15th member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, two-time Hall of Famer, of course, the legendary Coach Craven. He says he's the only Craven, but there is a Craven Rage, and of course, a man that does a lot of great things when it comes to logos, design, artwork. You need any type of help with that, it is TBK. Message him on Instagram or Facebook, and Ryan Femilaro. Make sure if you have anything you want, any design, any artwork, whatever it might be, we're going to plug that each time he's on the show. So if you're out there, he'll help you with that. My name, you probably know because you're sick of my name. It is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling, where all wrestling matters. And yes, I would certainly want to be sponsored by Doritos, and also want to say hello to one of my buddies who's going to be in the Hall of Fame next Saturday night, Mr. Ace Week of the Water podcast. I was going to say something, but go ahead.
Wrestling chick with her wrestling chick name and little tag there.
Yes, that's what it is.
You know this person. I get the feeling you're close. Like, get her on here.
Not even a little bit.
It's a wrestling chick.
References to Michelangelo. Come on, Raph. Get your ass on here.
That's a wrestling chick, though. That could be anybody. I mean, listen. I mean, that doesn't. It could be just a fan.
I have good sources tell me TBK knows this person.
All right. Hold on.
Sportswire's got almost 600 subscribers, by the way. There's a lot of people that tune into Sportswire.
I mean, you were excited when you saw a picture of me and him together.
That was different, though, because you're working on it. Big difference.
I'm gonna break the fourth wall. I'm gonna tell you who it is. It's Sid.
Are we sure it's not Ryback?
Now, speaking of Sid, actually, I want to twist it. I want to get you guys' opinion because now it's finally here. We're about less than 48 hours or so away from it. So, Sting's final match coming up this Sunday. What do you expect? And also, do you think that we'll see Steve Borden, breaking the fourth wall? Do you think we'll see him on wrestling TV again after this? Two-part question.
I think you'd see him on TV again in some capacity, in any fashion. I mean, probably not wrestling. I don't know if he'd wrestle, but maybe an appearance.
He shouldn't wrestle after I shouldn't say the way, but I mean everything that he has done in this run, not the way it's been booked, but the way it's been done. I would
kind of hoping that he comes out for the last match with the original paint.
Surfer Sting?
Like blonde, flat top. The
Surfer Sting.
Right.
It definitely is interesting because we really haven't seen, like, he's done some big bombs. He's been in tag team matches. It doesn't feel like an like, I think a lot more people, were kind of at peace with him ending the match. Unfortunately, ending with Seth Rollins. Unfortunately, how it ended, but you got to see kind of him still do what he could do. I just feel a little bit like it's just like he's trying, but he definitely can't deliver. But he's left an impressionable legacy. Like all the work he's done, you know what? It's him taking Darby under his wing and some of the young people trying to help out AEW succeed. And he's going to show up on TV here and there. And it's truly kind of like the last kind of, I would say, stand with that WCW run. Like he's kind of like the last part of that faction.
The WCW thing was perfect. The final match in WCW, I say it with open and closed quotes, is Sting and Ric Flair. And I think that was perfect. And I think the WWE run was obviously a dud because of what happened with the injury and even the way WrestleMania was. And then, okay, the AEW run has been, I guess it's been good, but let's be honest, Sting at this point is in his 60s. We're not going to see even the Sting of TNA Impact. I think he had some great moments in TNA and Impact. I think he had a very underrated run there to some people. I think he had actually some really great work, and he was instrumental in that company, really doing well for a while. I mean, that company was, they were right there for a little while, and he, him coming officially into TNA Impact when they just went to Spike. Even though I know he was there in the NWA here and there when they were still on, pay-per-view, weekly, whatever it was, but him going there really, I think, gave the company, some solidified work. And even his work as Joker Sting, also Main Event Mafia, he had a great run there, but I think when it comes to here, I just wonder, is this the last time we're going to see him? Because everybody in wrestling always says that this is the end, but it never happens that way.
I think you might be able to see him in TNA again, or maybe as a backstage role in AEW. I don't know. Sting is.
I don't see him as a backstage guy, though.
What's the main thing that Sting has always said is the one thing that is for sure about Sting is nothing's for sure. So even if he were to stop, yeah, I know that line very well. Mm-hmm. Big fan of Sting.
I see the background.
I got involved in wrestling. Him. So. I can tell you right now. I mean,
and Baltimore was a big Sting town, by the way. Baltimore, those early NWA,
WCW
days. Sting was big time in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm. Great American Bash. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think at this point, Sting is like the only guy at his age who doesn't, he doesn't look like a dinosaur out there. He's still giving us big moments. He's given us,
he's not sagging from all the steroid use. Sorry.
There's that. He's not.
Hogan and Flair.
He doesn't look like he's gassed out or nothing. Like I said, he's still giving us pretty big high spots. He deserves to go out big. And I know people at this point are going to be like, dude, it's past. It's never going to happen. You got to accept that. But if I'm Sting, okay, and I'm looking to come back on TV at all for any reason, I am giving the fans what they want for one last time, and I am pining for a match with The Undertaker. That is the only reason he should ever come back. At that point, if you want to,
the only reason he said he would come back,
right? If you want to go out big and really like cap it all off, right? Because like it or not, those two still talk about what could have been. So it's still, there for the both of them that they want to lock up. It doesn't have to be anything fantastic. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be anything, long drawn out or gassed or anything like that. But if I'm Sting, that's the only unfinished business that I still have.
You know what, TV? I was actually reading something, interview. They were saying that was a big reason he went to WWE. That was a big reason he did a lot of things because he said Vince asked one of the McMahons, the older one, he asked him, hey, you want to do a program with Seth Rollins? And he took that on because he thought it would get him closer to wrestling Taker at Mania. Now, unfortunately, injury didn't play a fact. I know the original plan was supposed to be when he first showed up, was actually supposed to wrestle Taker, but Taker, after dropping the streak, didn't want to take another loss. He wanted to put himself over. And you had that kind of backstage comment, but that was a big reason he went to WWE, was to have that match with Taker.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's like I said, the fact that there's still interest. I mean, again, it's easy to be like, dude, that moment is past, but they're still talking about it.
Taker,
you also got to think
at this point.
That's what we're going to see, a Taker show, his one-man show, him and Sting having a conversation.
That would be great. Hey,
well, you know what? I guess maybe as a cinematic match, would there be a way to, maybe that's the only feasible scenario it would work? I mean...
Well, you got to think that's whether or not The Undertaker wants to put the hat and the coat back on. He's been publicly stating to anybody who will listen since he retired, since the Last Ride documentary, he will not, since he pulled the curtain back completely on the whole dead man gimmick, he will not put the coat and the head back on. So do you want, is it more interesting seeing the American Badass versus Sting?
Nah, I got no interest in the American Badass. None.
No.
Right. So you got to get, and of course, Taker has that problem where if he fucks a match up, he always has to redeem himself. He's got that itch about him. I know a lot of wrestlers that have that.
Well,
They're gonna feel like they gotta do it justice and come back again. So if it happens, both these men, if it ever happened, both these men, one would have to do it sooner than later. Time's ticking.
Yeah.
I think, it has to be within the next year.
I mean, it'll be at WrestleMania 40. There's your surprise.
I'll be all right with it.
He's leaving AEW right before Mania, right? So there's your spot. Right
someone showing up in Cody's corner. That would be a surprise, definitely.
He's drop from the rafter.
That would be cool shit. I'd be okay with it.
He dropped. Well, did you guys see? If anybody watched, he dropped from the rafters Wednesday night.
Yeah. I mean, don't forget though. At the end of Taker's speech, he did grab the hat and coat. He did. He grabbed the hat and coat, and he said, "Never say never." So
I think at this point in Taker's career, I just don't see him doing another match. I think even how W is kind of shifting away. They're shifting away from these legends, these veterans, to have that big comeback unless they feel like they can put on their performance. Because apparently Goldberg had a deal where he was supposed to come back and do one last match, but when Triple H took it over, it got scrapped and think we're no longer going to do it. So I think there's definitely a shift now in the company where the legends want to make an appearance for sure, but we're not. If we don't think you can put on a good enough match, we're not going to put you on the card.
I agree. I agree that Undertaker wouldn't have another match unless it. I'm sorry. Yeah, unless it was Sting. Unless they both agreed and they could both go and do something worthwhile.
So not Mick Foley for his 60th birthday. One more match.
I mean, I think Mick could. I mean, obviously Mick could.
Training. I'm just saying though, they're both WWE guys. I mean, I'm just that might be
Hell in a Cell all over again.
Maybe if there's anybody that would want to die in the ring other than Ric Flair,
punch slower than Flair. So I mean, he's already got him beat on that.
I'll throw it out there. Did you guys have a favorite Undertaker feud?
Oh yeah. Mankind. All the boiler room shit.
Was good.
Taker and Mankind.
I'd say, yeah. Recently, the feud that led up to WrestleMania 25 was Shawn, Mankind, and then the early stuff with Kane was good.
Because I started watching wrestling early 2000, I'm going to say his feud with Randy Orton. I think that's a very underrated feud, and the work those two did, I think one that legitimate showed why Undertaker is still with one of the top guys, and really showed why Randy Orton is considered the future. Because the work that they did throughout 2005, the whole year, the thing with Bob Orton, the Hell in a Cell, the casket, all the matches they had were just another level.
I'm surprised nobody said really the feud that put him on the map, actually, when winning his first World Heavyweight Championship.
I wasn't born.
Okay. But to go back in time,
I liked his feud with Edge too. The Edge feud between him and that was really good.
And I'm surprised nobody said either Stone Cold or Shawn Michaels.
I said Shawn.
Okay. Stone Cold was a weird feud. I remember watching that on the internet. That was just a weird feud because Taker was in that weird transition spot where he was still the dead man, but going to the Ministry Darkness type of heel kind of way. It just didn't feel watching it. It just didn't feel right.
SummerSlam '98 was a great match to me, though.
It was a great match, but I think the feud itself it didn't fit.
Does anybody remember his feud with Yokozuna?
Yes.
Yeah.
1994, and then there was the two Undertakers. And they had Chuck Norris at Survivor Series. Like, wasn't he like the man that was the not the referee, but kind of was special enforcer? Or something
enforcer.
Like that? Yeah.
Hell, WCW had RoboCop.
Well, that was really, if you want to go back, that was probably Yokozuna's last major feud of his career. That was his last time where he was like really built up as still a main event.
Taker's had a lot of interesting storylines.
I think Diesel and WrestleMania 10 I think Diesel and Undertaker was a really underrated match that Undertaker had at WrestleMania, because that was the one match I felt before the streak eventually was broken that Diesel actually was the one guy that actually like could have won. Obviously his contract was running out, but that was if you look back at all of his matches, that was the one where Diesel really was one-sided over the Undertaker.
Yeah.
That was a great match.
It was a good one.
Wait a minute. You mean you told me you didn't think Giant Gonzalez was going to be there?
No, I thought it was King Kong Bundy.
Yeah.
And what's considered to be the worst WrestleMania in history, WrestleMania 11, which was in Hartford, Connecticut. I mean, that was.
I thought the one in the Caesar Palace, the Las Vegas one where Hogan came out and
that was bad too. Yeah, there was some clunkers in the 90s. WrestleMania 9, WrestleMania 11, 13 was only saved maybe Bret and Stone Cold. Tag title match was okay, but yeah, that wasn't memorable. Let me see.
I did like his smaller feud that he had with Batista.
Yeah,
I did like that. That was kind of like
Randy Orton was good. The Randy Orton.
Yeah.
He put Batista. He helped build Batista up bigger at that time but that was when Batista finally was on his own. He's the world title. He helped build Batista a little higher. Batista did the respectful thing and worked with Taker and didn't dick him out. You know what I mean? Like it was a nice give and take as far as the feud goes, and it was when they were both at a good peak on the show.
Yeah, Undertaker was
two
still,
faces.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tom. Two faces as well. That's very rare when you see two faces having a good story like that. It's very rare to see.
And I'm surprised nobody said the WrestleMania Hell in the Cell with the big boss.
Oh, they tried killing him that night.
Oh yeah.
That was actually today was the 25th anniversary of Jim Ross's last heel promo, and Dr. Death Steve Williams came out. That was kind of the forgettable era. Okay, so Undertaker, we'll see. Sting, I don't know. Sting, we'll have to see what else. In the interest of time, obviously, we're going to bring the regular guys on here in about 5 or 10 minutes. Let's see. I know, but they haven't been on in a while. They want to talk baseball, and yes, I know some people are going to tune out, but they're.
Let them go play with their balls somewhere else.
Well, I mean, we are Sportswire Radio. I mean, if I don't let them on, would I still be?
Nobody wants to see them play with their cock and balls on the air. It's not. No, it's just.
So you weren't much of a wiffle ball player then, Coach. Be that as it
may. You need ratings. Wrestling gives the ratings.
I know.
Somebody whacking their ball.
Straight talk for a second. Yes, and we love the guys. They're in the Hall of Fame, but 80 to 90% of the ratings come from wrestling at this point in Sportswire. I mean, I'll be honest. It's 80 to 90%. I mean, baseball and spring training is not going to draw us ratings, but they've been on the platform and they.
Plus, it's sponsored by Doritos. That wrestling shit.
You're gonna piss off the sponsors.
I don't want to get sued, man, Chris. You're going to sue. We're getting sued. I'm singing like canary.
Well, I mean, I would be the one getting sued. The rest of
the next hour. The next Baseball's Hour is sponsored by FakeWrestlingBelts.com. Like, come on.
I think that would actually get us ratings, by the way. Fake Wrestling Belts sponsoring baseball segment. But, look, the guys want to come on.
Frito-Lay jalapeno chip.
Yeah, obviously some people may not want to hear the spring training report with what's going on out there. I haven't been following it as much, but, they're on the platform and they want to give their opinion, and we are a sports wire. But I agree with you that like 90% of our audience at this point is from wrestling, whether it's watching the interviews, whether it's seeing the guys from the different feds, whether it's when we talk about this stuff. Yes, there's no question that we're really.
You want to see the Ghostbuster trailer coming out on
I do want to see Ghostbusters, though. I do want to see that. I do want to see that.
We talk about anything else but baseball and football, for Christ's sakes.
What about hockey?
It's not even your season yet. Leave it alone.
I love sports, but yes, to be honest, our audience is not those things. It's just the people.
I'm going to be the most hated guy in your next couple hours.
We're not going to be on the air for the next couple of hours. I'm actually on twice. By the way, Mr. Judgment's on tomorrow.
Oh, shit. Really?
Mr. Judgment's on. And James Taylor's back on Sunday with Anthony Steele.
Who the fucking dunk it?
Nobody gives it. I mean, what?
And Skulls is here to be
Mr. Judgment.
Mr. Judgment's back, and we've got Freak Show, the EBW general manager. EBW, not pro. It's the other EBW. I always get confused. There's two EBWs, and Ego's in both EBWs. So, Coach, you probably not know the difference there.
You got what, like an EBW Plus and an EBW Pro?
It's EBW Inc. is the yard one. Pro is the one that holds their shows in Glock Cluster at the at the gym over there, where XPW and GTS and Pro Wrestling Venom were at. So yeah, there's two of them, but they're owned by the same guy, if that makes sense. One of them's a pro company, indie, and the other one's the backyard. So that's the difference. But anything else you guys do want to talk about in the time here until we do hear some pitchers and catchers talk? But now it's almost like now you could hear the guys that are coming on here hearing this, and they're like, oh, what do I do now? But what anything else
you can't match my shit talking.
They're not. But they're not. That's not their. They're not that. They're like podcasters. They're not like us. We can talk, and it's for us. That's what draws the ratings on Sportswire. But they are an important tool because they sell our internet radio station, which is the link below, which there are many podcasts on there, and they do a good job in keeping that representative. And I think that there is an audience for that on the radio. We use that to sell the YouTube channel and things like that. But yes, their audience is very niche based. But they're very, serious in their analysts, and they're not like us, where we do wrestling and other things. But, they are certainly respectable in the fact that they provide credible opinions on sports. But yes, they're not
give baseball signals like
Well, I mean, you might want to give them the signals to not come on the platform, but it's okay. I'm fun. We're having fun, but yeah, certainly their audience is not. They're not. The audience is not what draws us to sports.
I mean, I have a dream that we can have more than 1 hour without being interrupted by somebody playing with their ball. Like, come on.
So are you meaning to tell us that when the regular guys come on here in a few minutes, it's almost like, remember when Raw used to be preempted by the U.S. Open tennis?
Jesus Christ.
So are you saying that our analysts coming on in a few minutes are almost like the guys from that would play in tennis, like the U.S. Open? Or remember when Raw used to be preempted by the Westminster dog kennel shows?
Oh, yeah.
Justin Gianelli and the Westminster Dog Kennel Show. I mean, that might be
a fucking McBiscuit, that fat son bitch.
Well, no, listen, we love the guys. The guys are great with us. We love the guys.
Where's Sid?
Well, Sid would be great. We'd love to have Sid, but is there anything else that we should know about in the wrestling world before we do? I guess in a way, have our own U.S. Open tradition. Go ahead.
Do you want to touch?
What do y'all think the announcement for the tag belts is going to be?
What?
Who I think the announcement for the tag belt is going to be? That's a good question.
Nick Aldis mentioned that him and the other guy on Raw, what's his name?
Oh,
Adam Pearce.
Postman Adam Pearce. That's how I remember.
Yep.
Adam Pearce.
They're going to make an announcement about the tag belts. My prediction is they're going to split them. What do you think?
I think they're setting up for a big match at WrestleMania. I think we're going to get a big multi-man fatal four. My guess is going to be Judgment Day, DIY, Truth and Miz, and Pete Dunne and Bates.
That other guy. No, I got you.
Well, Pete Dunne, actually, we have a very small connection on Sportswire with one of the companies that we've worked with. Actually, he started his career there. So Pete Dunne, we actually kind of root for on Sportswire a little bit. I don't know him, but we have a very minor connection with, like you with many other people. But yeah, the Fatal 4 would be interesting. But does it interest you to see maybe the Miz and R-Truth get one more run as champions maybe together? That could be interesting. That would be fun, right?
I think Truth deserves.
I think they're going to split the tag titles. I think you're going to have another brand title split with that.
Yeah, you could do that. I mean, I think that the Miz and R-Truth holding the tag titles could be kind of a nice bone to throw at the guys, especially the Miz. The Miz has been there a long time. He's actually now one of the more longer tenured active members on the roster. R-Truth is beloved by the fans. He's certainly, I think very worthy of being in the Hall of Fame. And this could kind of, be a nice little bow on his career. And Rey Mysterio.
He can't tell the difference between Johnny Wrestling and HBK, but yeah, give him the belt.
The Miz has been in WWE now almost 20 years. I mean, to be from a longevity standpoint, obviously
give them the rub. Give them the rub. Give them the push.
You gave Rey Mysterio the U.S. title last year. Wouldn't these be the same type of moment in giving the Miz and R-Truth the tag belt? Okay, so that's interesting.
Well, speaking of Rey,
you can't give him the 24/7 title again. He's already having 107 times. Like, give him something else.
Speaking of Rey Mysterio, I was surprised to see him returning. I think we might begin that matchup with him and Escobar at WrestleMania.
Yeah, you stole my. I was about to say the same thing.
I was actually going to say. I think we could all possibly agree that Rey had one of the biggest pops of the night.
Yeah,
right.
I agree with that. Yeah, I think Rey coming.
I think you're going to see the LWO versus Escobar and his crew. I don't think it's going to be a one. I think you're going to get group versus group.
But you need one more in the LWO though, because you got Carlito as well in the LWO, so you need one more person. And
I wonder if Chavo Guerrero's doing anything these days.
He was on. He was actually a part of the Iron Claw. He was a part of the movie in that. I don't know if you saw.
Come on,
Iron
man! You know damn well they could get another Mexican in there.
Andrade?
Holy crap!
I didn't say that. I didn't endorse any of that. I just want to put it out there on Sportswire. We certainly want to make sure that those opinions are not endorsed by those on Sportswire Radio. That is the coach Chris Craven's opinion only, and I want to put a disclaimer on that. Actually, in all seriousness, because I don't want to be canceled. And on top of that, we on Sportswire.
I'm sorry.
Well, we do.
My point was they have a lot of Mexican and Latino wrestlers in the between main roster and NXT.
Better,
much
better there. Much better. That was better. That was better.
Say they could find a Mexican from Home Depot and throw him in there. I was
talking about.
There's a point.
I don't want to have to use the mic there, but we'll certainly move on from that. Okay, we'll have to see it. Ethan Sorensen wants to talk about why Justin Roberts should not have been fired by WWE, but that is has nothing to do with the current.
It wasn't a racial slur or a racial knock. It was a culture thing. It was. They have a lot.
You know what though? I do get a lot of messages from people that watch the shows. Believe it or not, you would be surprised on how many people in the last 3 days have said, I watch you on Sportswire, whether it's on Instagram, Facebook, or on YouTube. So I mean, there are people that we want to make sure we put a disclaimer that those views are not endorsed or is certainly supported on Sportswire Radio. Certainly, people are entitled to their opinions, but I want to put it out there as the owner of Sportswire. We do not want to make that out there. We want to make sure everybody. We're all wrestling matters, by the way. We're all wrestling, all backgrounds, all views, all genders.
No, I get you, but hey, you got Dragon Lee. You've got all these other.
Yes, no, Coach. I'm with you. We love you, Coach. But I think we're going to actually, ladies and gentlemen, move on to closing thoughts. So let's get to closing thoughts, because that way we'll let the guys talk about, take me out to the ball game.
Maybe never going to let me come home again after this.
Maybe you're always welcome. But maybe the guys, Rob and Roscoe will sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." It might get us some views. Take me out to the ball game. Justin Gianelli might come out there, with the glove, and maybe he's going to give
people to sleep when you sing it in the ballpark. Don't.
Well, if I sang, I think we would probably get a few more extra views.
People are still getting their fucking Cracker Jacks and popcorn. Stop it.
Do actually Cracker Jacks still exist? Do people actually eat Cracker Jacks still? I'd be wondering about. Maybe the guys.
They need to look at the Cracker Jack box and get a
Chris
fucking
Pizzea, Rob Maraska, and Justin Gianelli. They might know that because they are the baseball analyst on Sportswire Radio. They're going to tell us, because I don't know anything else in sports.
Yeah,
I could talk hockey, but I think that would be. I don't know how even further that'd be, but let's go to TBK. I want to give you the floor, give you some closing.
Do
The guys are going to be up here. So let's give TBK some closing. Let's obviously plug some of the stuff you're working on. Obviously, you're doing some stuff for hire. Plug that as well, and the floor is yours.
Yeah. As Tom said, great show, guys. By the way, I just got to be me for a second. I'd just like to see Gianelli rep one piece of Jets merch at least one time. He claims to be a fan, but anyway, as Tom said, I got stuff in the works. I am doing graphic work for hire now. Recently just set up my buddy's YouTube channel, made him a brand new logo like the one I made for Tom. So we got that in the works now. If you guys are out there, you're listening, you need any kind of internet flyers for your next promotion, family get together, anything like that, business card designs, logos for YouTube channels, I can help you set all that up. Give me a call, give me a message. Don't give me a call because you don't have my number. Give me a message. Give me a message on Facebook at Ryan Andrew Familaro. Hit me up on Instagram at t.b.k0892, I think it is. Tom will correct me. He knows it better than I do. So the next episode of the Be More Talkative podcast, I got to get together with these two wonderful guys here. I'm thinking it's not going to be until we get pretty preemptively close to WrestleMania, because right now we're on that slow burn ride right now, so we're seeing things unfold. Once there's something to talk about, I will talk about something. I'm not just going to put an episode out for who's that guy. I'm not just going to put
that's what we want you to get followed on Twitter.
That freaking chicken.
I mean, Instagram, sorry.
I tell you what, that is a handsome chicken palm right there.
What's that? What was that, Coach?
Where's our picture, Tom?
Well, that's his Instagram. It's not my account. I couldn't put it up there. That would be up to him to put that up.
But anyway, so you guys can always follow me on Instagram and Facebook, of course. That is a handsome fellow right there.
You just got another like. I just get liked your last 2 posts. So you got 2 more likes out of me.
We're getting likes in real time, ladies and gentlemen. That's all.
And all that white you just saw on the ground is Baltimore's supply of cocaine. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
We actually have cocaine in Baltimore.
I think I'm a little too fat for cocaine, but we'll move it. We'll move past that.
Somewhere, for whatever reason, I'm thinking of what was the Eric Clapton song? Cocaine, dun 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 dun, dun, dun cocaine, dun 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 dun. I'm sure when Rob Marassa comes in, he'll probably remember when the song actually was live. But if you want to check TBK out and want to see his podcast, well, TBK's podcast, there's all information's here. He's also on Threads as well. B.K9208, also on Instagram. So if you want designs, you want anything for whether it's merchandise, artwork, designs, website work, you name it, he's got it. And make sure you give him a follow. And we want to say hello to Anthony Finkel. Anthony Finkel, who just recently got engaged. Congratulations to Anthony Finkel, who's tuned in here. And we wish you and your soon-to-be missus all the best. And thank you for tuning in. And I hope you enjoy this part of the show. And Randy, I'm going to get to you. Closing thoughts. I see Justin Gianelli's here in the chat, so we'll let him come on when we're finished because I don't think he's going to know anything about wrestling. So we'll let Randy give you the floor first. Anything else you want to plug and share? And I'm going to pull up your Instagram next also. So we'll do it in real time for follows. That's what we do on Sportzwire Radio. So floor is yours, Randy, and fire away.
Thanks, Tom. Always a pleasure to be on with Chris and TBK. Chris, I've never laughed so much before, so thank you for the pure entertainment. Just a quick note on the hockey fan chat. Unfortunately, just dealing with some family issues at the time.
And my thoughts and prayers, Randy. Anything you need, you just let me know.
Thanks, Tom. We won't be putting out an episode in the next little while. I just want to touch one thing about wrestling, though, about the post that sparked a lot of debate on the internet with Maxine Dupree about her being booed. Listen, I understand fans have their right to cheer and boo whoever they want, but I think what I'm just going to say, there's an extent to a point at the end of the match when someone's walking back, just booing them off because they're not doing well or they didn't do something right. I don't think right away she's working hard. Is she perfect? No, but she's trying hard. Just give them a little break. I know we all have our right to who we want to cheer for or not, but sometimes just to take a step back and just remember they're working hard, and being a professional wrestler is not easy. I've tried it, and it definitely taking bumps, running through ropes was a bit of a challenge. Chris, who's actually been in the ring, done much more than I have, can be a testament. It's not an easy thing to be at that high level. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of practice. You have to be perfect. You're not going to be having your best every day. So just cut them a break. If you want to hear more about my wrestling takes or my talk about the NHL as we are getting close to the NHL trade deadline, the race to the playoffs are there. Follow me on Twitter or Instagram at Randy Dillon. Dylan, Dillon. Tom,
I'll put it up right there for you, and I couldn't agree with you more, Randy. And my running joke is always that, listen, every day I'm on the air on Sportswire. I'm live. I do it without no rehearsals. Every day is a bump, and, could you imagine how many people that wanted to throw me off the air 5+ years ago? But here we are. So sometimes Rome wasn't built in a day, and Randy, you're doing a great job. We look forward to everything you do for us on Sportswire, and I look forward to what is ahead, and we certainly saved, I'm sure, maybe the most entertaining comments for last. And I see that the guys are here. So, Coach, I'm going to you. And hopefully you give us a Power Rangers ringtone or a ring before we go off the air. Dun, 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 dun. One more for the road. But, yes, that may be it. But anything you want to say for us? Any final thoughts before we say?
Real quick, on his Instagram. Was that an older SmackDown picture? Was Vince McMahon handing in his jackets to the security guards? Because that's definitely a Vince McMahon jacket.
Oh, no, that was at a hockey game. Some of the old, for those hockey referees back in CBC, they dressed up.
They're all wearing McMahon jackets.
No, it's not. They do it every year, actually. They do it every year. As a hockey fan, yeah, it's okay.
Look at you with your thumbs up.
And I like
Anyway.
and I liked his post, by the way, and I do share his post from time to time as well. So I just want to make that clear.
Anywho, no, tonight was fun. Come on now, you know me. I like to cause controversy and run my face.
Yes, ratings. So listen. What I've learned on Sportswire is when we do have controversy, it does give us ratings. So you can't necessarily say that it's wrong. So obviously.
And I'm only on once or twice a week. We got to do more. Oh my god.
Have you seen how many times I'm on the air to begin with? Do you want me to die on the air? I mean, I know Joshua Allen, the TBW owner, specifically said, "When are you going to do a 24-hour show?" I mean, do you not?
Oh, I started a fight with TBW. I was watching some of their stuff that they posted.
No, please don't talk on TBW. They're very good supporters of us on Sportswire.
Oh, someone tell me, please stop it. They're sensitive.
No, they're supporters of us, though. The guys always watch the show.
But they're sensitive.
Well,
they're very sensitive.
Well, nobody could be as sensitive as the guy from Alabama, not James Taylor, the one you don't like. So that's if you're really going to go down that road.
He's sensitive, but we won't talk about that.
Anthony peel him a tissue. Anyway, I don't know. I just figured, TBK does all that design work. Maybe you should design Craven Rage's new mask because the other one ain't working for him. Put some sprinkles on it. Anyhow, now as far as wrestling goes, just touch base week by week and see how Mania gets put together and go from there. Like tonight had a couple good spots, but it didn't really reveal a lot like the last couple weeks did. So hopefully Raw's a little more revealing, and the same with was it Dallas next week?
Yes, we're in Dallas. Yes, we're at the old.
Like I said,
we
get Cody popping the rock in the mouth.
Well, we're gonna find out, and maybe we will be on the air after all. Let's see how my voice hold up. I'll tell you what, maybe we'll be on the air after all.
We ain't gotta do anything. Just say hello to everybody. We'll talk. We'll do the talking.
Well, I mean, we'll have to find out because Omen's on, but maybe
my
after
voice is
you will
fine.
Well, all right, well, stay tuned. I said stay tuned, but all right, so obviously we got the wrestling side of the story. Now we're going to bring the other guys on. Obviously, good to see them. So, gentlemen, the three of us, maybe we'll be back together after Raw. After all, maybe we will Raw after all. Get the pun intended, and we'll see what the future brings. And looking forward to all of it. And thank you as always. And again, if you need logos and design, TBK has you covered. T.BK9208 Instagram threads. Get in touch with him, Ryan Femerlo as well. And all right, gentlemen, we'll see you guys, and looking forward to maybe Monday night after all. Stay tuned, as they always say. All right,
take care, fellas.
Sure.
All right, that was Randy Dillon, TBK, and the coach Chris Craven, and we're joined here now. You guys, I don't know if you've been listening, but the guys were saying you gotta pick it up a little bit. I don't know.
I was listening, Tom. I just
we
were
had
talking a lot of.
The coach was, he's got his opinions, but I was
TBK called out Justin.
We are a sports show, but the guys obviously, coach. He did.
Yeah,
he
I feel hurt by that.
He did. He's very, TBK has his opinion. Yeah, well, that actually might bring the ratings. People, they were saying we want the ratings, but obviously
they bought a belt.
Oh, you did.
I'm gonna bring my bat
well, that's good.
Maybe that'll help.
Well, that's good. You know what? I think that that's what people want. They kind of like what I've noticed before. We'll get to the baseball because I actually was saying let's bring the guys on.
My toy too.
Oh no, we've actually had a guy with a gun come on here, so I love it. But what I was trying to say, as if you probably heard, was we are a sports station, and we obviously want to give the other people. And I said the radio station, what you guys have done, certainly have helped grow the brand, and it's an important tool to what we sell. So I always believe in giving people opportunities, and we've heard the wrestling end of it, but we'll hear the baseball side of it as well. Anthony Finkel, again, congratulations to him on his engagement, and I know it's been a few weeks, so we'll go with you, Rob Maraska. Obviously, I see some different ornaments. Maybe we have the feeling in the air with the coach and Chris with the bat, because it's actually today is the first meteorological day of spring. So spring, technically, in the weather world, it's not officially spring, but it technically is, if you believe in the meteorology there. But Rob Maraska, good to be with you. And, we see a couple of news and notes out there in the world of baseball, and Cubs brought Bellinger in, but Blake Snell, I don't know. But what have you been up to, and what is going on in the baseball world since we last left off on Sportswire Radio?
Well,
like you said before, it's just spring's training. It's not fake wrestling or anything.
But that brings the
No
ratings, though.
excitement.
That's that the ratings. What's good for business is the wrestling. That's what we are, a wrestling station. If we can get the big baseball guys. Then we can have baseball versus wrestling. Almost like if you guys remember the MTV Rock'em Jock'em games. If we do something like that, that would be, I think, we could bring some ratings. But I digress. But
No, it
Tell
would
us
be no
what's on your mind.
competition, Tom. It would be unfair.
oh, you know what? It would be
Just letting
interesting.
you guys know. I'm just letting you know.
Well, I tell you what, it would be. I think people would like to see that. Actually, I think we would actually like to see the other presenters in some way compete on the air. I think that would be one of the things we actually want to do on Sportswire is actually go into the business of live streaming. It's something that I've spoken about off the air with people. We like to do streaming of live sports, actually, college sports or other things. So it's something that we actually would like to do. So if that's a way that people think it could do some
I'm always
good,
open to it.
I think it'd be great. It's something that I've had a few conversations with, but Pez live coverage might do for now. But until then, Rob, again, Mets have made, I guess, a few minor moves. Yankees are out there. We're back in the field. So I guess I'll ask you, have you watched spring training so far?
I've watched a couple of games. I mean, not the whole game, of course, because it's training, and but Severino looked all right today. But it's spring training. Who knows what's going to happen? You can't get. I'm just glad that winter is almost over. I love.
Although I was out the last 2 days, I'm actually back out. Going in, one of my jobs is in politics, and it's now, for those that are in New York, it is called petition season, meaning that if you are a operative, you have to go out and get signatures door to door for your candidates respectively to get on the ballot. And I was out the last 2 days this afternoon, and it felt like winter. So it may be we're getting so close to spring, but Justin works outside. He could vouch for me as well. I can't wait till we get to some real warmer weather, because the last 2 days
it looks like Sunday is going to be not bad.
Sunday
but
looks not too bad. The next week doesn't look that bad. Well, we'll get there though.
I got a question for everyone. Why isn't anyone giving Trevor Bauer a chance? Okay, why
There's
not?
got to be more stuff that we don't know about for a
good
team
point.
not to give him. There's got to be more than just that one incident that, it looked like he kind of cleared himself and all that. But there's got to be other stuff, because why wouldn't one team be willing to give this guy, a small contract? Because he said he's willing to play for the league minimum. Like, why wouldn't a team be willing to do that?
I could give you a somewhat PG-13 realistic answer.
We're on Sportswire. You could even go rated R at this point, as long as you don't give profanity. But go ahead.
Hey, it's after 11. We could do it.
Listen,
Pretty much.
No, I'm kidding.
listen. In all reality, Trevor Bauer's a dick. That's what he is. He's a bad teammate. And listen, I think a lot of this,
and that's his best thing.
I think a lot of his baggage goes far beyond the off the field stuff. I think a lot of it also ties into some of the stuff in the locker room. I don't think he's very well liked amongst his peers in Major League Baseball. So I don't know if he ever gets another chance. He obviously, won a Cy Young during the COVID. I think it was the COVID shortened season, either that or 2021. But
I think it was 2020.
I think it was 2020.
Yeah, I think it was a COVID year.
I think so.
But he signs that big deal with the Dodgers. Was pitching pretty well before all this stuff went down, and now
I remember we were on the air on Sportswire a couple years ago. We were talking at one point the Mets had interest in him before everything that went down.
Well, you remember the whole Bob Nightingale mistake that he said Bauer to the Mets or something like that.
Yeah,
and then,
I remember.
And then on Bauer's website, an accidental leak of him in Mets gear when he hadn't actually made his decision yet, and then he chooses the Dodgers. There was a whole fiasco behind it. But in reality, I don't think he's a great teammate. I think he's a decent pitcher, but I don't know if it's worth it at this point.
Also, he's been out of the game for a while. What is he in terms of a pitcher?
He pitched in Japan, though, right? He pitched in Japan.
Was he? Yeah, he was in Japan last year. Yep.
So here's what I'm thinking. I mean, he's probably bad in a clubhouse, but there's other guys who are bad in a clubhouse. Give him a shot, and if anything like that happens, then you get rid of them. It's not costing you any.
I don't think it's the money.
I think not going to cost you anything.
I don't think it's the money that's the big thing, and I don't think it's too much of a clubhouse thing. I think there's other things out there that he's being accused of, other than that one incident that we heard about, and it's probably just as bad.
Well, there's multiple accusers. I think there's there's three accusers.
Yeah, so no team wants that attached to them.
And I got to be honest, if I'm an owner, I kind of agree. Because you think of it this way, not to make the comparison, because they're totally two different things, but isn't he then baseball's version of a Colin Kaepernick, and the fact that, maybe on the field or off the field, you have some controversy that maybe Bauer is certainly less removed away from the game, but teams certainly might shy away from a Kaepernick, just like they might.
Think about the stuff that he's attached to. Forget about. I don't want to compare it to.
Listen, I know.
Think about what he's attached to. Do you want your team to be attached to all this stuff that he's?
No. And listen,
is it worth it? No.
And listen, it's twofold here. Trevor Bauer is accused and has done far worse than what Kaepernick ever did. But also Trevor Bauer's 2-3 times the player Colin Kaepernick ever was.
Right.
I honestly don't think Colin Kaepernick was ever really that good of a quarterback. So
I just think
he had a couple of years
controversies. In a sense, I know there's two different situations, two different people, two different times. I'm not saying one's better than the other, but in a way, I mean, Trevor Bauer may or may not be in baseball yet, and Colin Kaepernick's not going to sniff the NFL again.
No, not
right.
Not
See, the problem I have,
he's
there's
much
a
older
problem
now.
I have with some of this stuff when someone's not like convicted of something, that's one of the problems I have. I don't think he's a great guy.
But you have to look at it. If I'm an owner and I have all this, potential things that could be out there, do I really want that headache? Or from a general manager,
I guess not, because not one team wants it. So, I guess.
Well, let me ask you a different question, and I want to say hello to a couple of other people that are tuned in. I want to say hello to John Gonzalez. John says he got a Trevor Bauer card from Rob. Maybe that may or not be true. Coach Chris Craven is going on about the Wrestling Hour versus the Sports Hour. Maybe we should do something on the air. You know what? I tell you what, we will do something down the road. Maybe we'll have like a contest or something between like the wrestling guys and the sports guys. It'll be a contest, maybe a trivia or something. Maybe we'll do something, because I think people actually would like to tune in with something like that, because we are actually trying to do different things on Sportswire. That might actually get like some viewers. So Chris's bat versus Randy's belt, or Coach's Sting doll versus, I don't know, Rob Maraska's like 1978 Dave Kingman card or something like that. I mean, something there. TBK's Ravens jersey versus Justin's Devils jersey. I don't know what. I'm just throwing things out there. I'll certainly, as my usual self, try to be the middleman, because obviously we love both on Sportswire. We are Sportswire, and I want to specifically say that we really value all the podcasts on the platform, like, Baseball Banner, Liftoff, Talking Rivals. Randy's a part of that as well. But, maybe we'll do something fun down there. Maybe it'll be a trivia or something. I don't know. I think that would actually be kind of cool. Maybe we'll get everybody together, and I think people might want to see it. Almost like, I don't know, Jeopardy of Sportswire. Maybe I'll give like the winner a certificate or something. We'll have to come up with that. But I do want to speak to you, gentlemen, about one player that is out there that won the Cy Young last year. And when will he ever sign? And that name is Blake Snell, because certainly he seems like he's not breaking a leg anytime soon in a Major League Baseball mound.
Well, I think he's gonna have to sign this. I think him and Montgomery are both gonna have to sign by the end of this week.
And has Chapman signed yet?
Chapman, no. But see, it's different for position players, because I think a position player, they get a couple of bats in, they'll deem themselves ready to go for opening day. But now you're talking about a pitcher, and I understand that they're doing a lot of their work on the side, and they're probably in Florida or Arizona working out regardless. Although if you look at Blake Snell's Instagram, he's playing a lot of video games, but that's besides the point.
Maybe he's playing, I guess, simulated MLB The Show to help him stay on the mound.
He's like a Mortal Kombat kind of guy.
It sounds like one of our listeners, Steven Solanke, who always reminds me about Mortal Kombat he's playing. And I'm like, well, Steve, we're Sportswire, not Twitchwire.
But the thing is, with the pitchers, they got to get themselves ramped up for opening day, or else you're not going to see these guys until May
Absolutely, you have to be ready starting in December.
Spring training, and we're multiple weeks into spring training, and if you're not in a camp, you're behind, and it's gonna make for a very hard first couple months of the season.
So what happens with Snell? Does he sit the season out? Does he?
No way.
No.
But where's he going? We're getting close. What are we now? 20-something days, even less than that, quote unquote, with the Padres and Dodgers. So what are we really?
Well, I honestly don't know. There's literally zero market for Blake Snell.
No, I don't want to say none, because I think the Giants, they're down 2 starters. Plus they're not getting Robbie Ray back until probably after the All-Star
break. They knew that, and they knew that when they traded for him.
So they're down 2 guys now, because they not the 2 guys that we know are coming back later on, but they just lost 2 more starters. So I think San Fran's going to sign him soon, and I would still think Texas is out there for Montgomery.
Because Texas has injuries they're dealing with DeGrom.
And Texas knows you're not getting DeGrom and Scherzer back to the second half of the season.
Yeah.
And so their rotation's a little bit in flux, but the Rangers are also dealing with a little bit of financial difficulties. That's why
we talked about this on earlier shows with the situation with Bally Sports.
The regional sports.
And that's going to be figured out. I don't think that's going to be a problem. I mean, you're talking about a team that just won the World Series, and they've been
new ballpark they're in, deep pockets. It's
I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think it's just a matter of getting the right years, and they supposedly love Montgomery anyway. And Montgomery also spoke to Boston recently, so I think they're going to sign.
Patrick spoke about that on the Talking Rivals show a few weeks back, that the Red Sox have done up until recently next to nothing. Yeah, I mean, the Red Sox have been like one of the. If you would have told me the Kansas City Royals would have spent more than the Boston Red Sox this season, I would have said, "Were you smoking dope?"
Yeah, there's definitely something wrong there. But
and Chris, I'm sure you and Patrick probably talked about this, but there was some comments recently about some frustration from Rafael Devers. Because he's the one guy, because you had the core of Mookie Betts, you had Alexander Bogaerts, you had Rafael Devers, and Devers is the one that ends up staying. Bogaerts goes to San Diego, and Betts obviously goes to the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
Devers is frustrated because the Red Sox don't seem to have a plan right now. I don't quite, I don't.
There's a lot of free agents still out there, and before I do that, I want to actually bring up a comment from John Gonzalez, aka Jay Gonzalez, and he says Bauer reminds me of the Brute Force. Yeah, the Brute Force. I got to be honest, like he just disappeared off Sportswire. He literally like.
Let's hope they're not connected in any way.
Yeah,
I mean, they're not the same.
Let's be honest.
But I mean, he basically like disappeared. Like he just gave no explanation. I know, John, you're tight with the Brute Force, but maybe you go ask him why he left Sportswire. Didn't say nothing.
Well, the difference is at least Bauer wants to get back into the major league.
I don't even think I'd want the Brute Force back at this point.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't even think I want him back. Why would I bring him back at this point? Like,
the guy who quit with no notice.
No notice, but said, "Hey, you know what? I'm a coach. I'm going into a different direction. Level up. We don't need him because the platform's grown exponentially since he's left the station. So, I mean, if we're really going to go there, I mean, the subscribers are up, the views are up, the followers are up. I mean, listen, we wish him well. He was an instrumental part of the station, but he didn't say, "Hey, you know what? I can't do it anymore. I can't. I'm coaching." There's no hard.
It would have been nice.
Billy McInerney has been with us on and off for 5 years. Billy's always been, you know what? I can make it. I can't. He's in the chat. He basically didn't say nothing.
Right.
I mean, he didn't say anything. I mean, if we're really going to go ratings here, he just basically walked off. I mean, for example, I do something Wednesday nights, and I said to the people that I do a show, I can't do it. I want to focus on Sportswire. Hey, no problem. I respect your decision. He didn't do that.
Yeah.
He didn't do that. So, I mean, he told us to drop dead. So, I mean, in him, I wish him nothing but the best. But actually, John, you go ask Brute Force why he left the station and why he gave no notice, because he told us to drop dead. So that's why there is no invitation for him to come back for sure. There's no invitation for him for that. So I'm just saying.
Understandable. That's totally understandable.
I wish him well. I wish him nothing but the best.
But you also got to wash your hands of the situation.
Yeah, no, listen, listen, and John, I know you talked to him. Yeah, no, listen, there's no hard feelings personally, but in terms of what happened, he didn't say anything. He didn't leave. He just all he had to say, I'm coaching, I'm gonna do my thing or do my dream.
That's all.
All good, man.
At least
all
give you a heads up is what I get you. Out of respect.
Like I said, we've grown exponentially since he's left, ironically. Subs, we broke 500 subs, over 2,000 followers, blah, 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 blah. But, I'm just saying, we have a Hall of Fame, which he's not in the Hall of Fame, really. He would have certainly been in, but he's not in the Hall of Fame. I wonder why, because he hasn't been on the platform in 3 months and basically said, I don't want to be wrestled. I don't want to make this a whole thing about Brad Weiss, but, again, but I'm just saying, Brad Weiss, again, a guy who really was, if it wasn't for Sportswire, he wouldn't be a coach. He wouldn't be coaching the high school team. He wouldn't be, doing what he's doing, really. So he owes his career to Sportswire. No, this is a shoot. He actually owes his career to Sportswire. So if it wasn't for sport, yeah.
Tom, didn't a couple of years ago, didn't he disappear or something for just a little while?
He did it for like a month, but then he sent a letter saying, I thought about it and I should come back. You've been so great. I really can't thank you enough. You gave me an opportunity, which is cool. I was, all right. Yeah, of course. But he didn't do that this time because he's obviously too big for his britches. So, I'm just saying, listen, he means well. I don't want to make this a 45-minute brute force like we do on the wrestling promoters, but I just want to say that, that's really is. No, he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame right now, John. He doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. He's not getting inducted into the Hall of Fame until he talks about why he left Sportswire. So if you want to put him on the phone, I guarantee you, message him now. Tell him why he left Sportswire, because I'm not reaching out to him. So he needs to reach out and tell the presenters and tell everybody else why he's not on the platform. I don't want to make this a 45-minute shoot on Brad Weiss because he's really irrelevant at the end of the day compared to the rest of the presenters and to the rest of the people on the platform and the various people that come on. So I'm just saying, I know you're going to go,
I just hope that everything is good on his end.
He's fine. He posted he won a Coach of the Year award. He's fine. He's
that's all that matters.
Listen, we wish
in the
him
end, that's all that matters.
We wish him well.
Right.
It's not a personal angst. We certainly appreciate everything he's done in the station. He's not going through anything because he posted he won an award. His team's wins. He's posting his stuff. Well, listen. It's not a personal with him. It's not a personal. When we have the wrestling guys come on and they say certain things, then we go off the rails. But, in this particular case, he didn't tell anybody anything. So that's not professional. That's not, again, a guy that had no ability to speak. He was really like the 12th man on a basketball team that won 4 games before he came to Sportswire. And he was a guy that really only played one real season of college basketball, but was put on a pedestal as he was one of these all-time greats. When the facts are, he really wouldn't be where he is without Sportswire and being ability to communicate and being able to kind of do what we've done here and all the interviews that we actually have done. And that's the reason why he's not in the Hall of Fame. We'd love to have him on. Listen, we'd love to have him on, but certainly shoot here or shoot whatever you want. I don't want to make this again 45 minutes on Brad Weiss. And I see that people are actually wanting to, which I'm not surprised, but he's just not, he took his ball and went home. To quote Vince McMahon when Stone Cold Steve Austin left WWE in 2002 the first time, Brad Weiss took his ball and went home. He went from being the brute force to kind of a little force with no bite. So that's what he wound up doing. So at the end of the day, that's kind of where it is. We wish him well. But, Anthony Finkel, he'll get in the Hall of Fame at some soon. Yes, he'll go in. Yes, Anthony Finkel's napkin could be in the Hall of Fame. If he's got the napkin, I'll definitely put that in the Hall of Fame before
by itself. I think it should be separate from Anthony because it's a separate entity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we could certainly do that. I mean, listen, there was somebody the other day that said, well, in Sportswire's already got hundreds of people in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, you know what? I'll have 10,000 people in the Hall of Fame. I'll have 1 million people in the Hall of Fame because that's how many people want to be in the Sportswire Hall of Fame. So to that person that said that, you can go take it where the shun don't sign, and you could certainly, maybe we'll throw you out of the Hall of Fame because I actually could do that too. But that's here nor there. But obviously people, I could see guys now like it. They like the fact that they're here in the shoot. But the truth is, real quick, not to make this about Brad Weiss. Brad Weiss, again, I want to repeat this. Brad Weiss took his ball and went home. He was the brute force. Yeah, I'm the brute force. I'm on Sportswire every night, putting up the big screen, promoting the show. But he just left. He walked out. He walked out on the place that basically gave him his opportunity. Just a real shoot. Gave him his opportunity. He wouldn't have had all the connections he had, all the interviews, all the different things. Now, I'm not saying I'm point blank responsible for his coaching career, but he would have been a guy that might be working at Kinko's if it wasn't for me giving him an opportunity to communicate for himself. He'd probably be working in the dentist office, wherever he was, the doctor's office, which nothing wrong with that. I'm a newspaper carrier part-time. I mean, so I'm not saying that's a bad job, but I don't think he would be as memorable as he would have been if it wasn't for Sportswire. So that's all. I'm just saying, I'm not, saying anything that's really, too much of a pot shot at him. I mean, I could really throw shots. I could really throw darts. I mean, if it was the other show at wrestling, I would do that, but we really love Brad. We wish him all the best. We thank him for his obviously, endeavors on Sportswire. He's done for the platform. If he would certainly, come back and say, hey, guys, I couldn't do it. It was too big of a responsibility. I was coaching and, I just couldn't be a part of the comeback. We would probably bring him back. But, Brute, I wouldn't go there with Joey Bostrom. Joey Bostrom, really, you need to pray for Joey Bostrom. I don't want to put Brad Weiss and Joey Bostrom in the same category. Shoot, John, Joey Bostrom. We want to pray for Joey Bostrom. We really hope that Joey Bostrom.
I'll tell you a story off the air about him.
Oh, Joey Bostrom? Oh, I'm going to know it. Trust me. I've heard a couple people tell me things. So, but Joey, we want to pray for Joey. Joey's he's a nice guy, but needs some help. And we want to pray for Joey. Brad's situation is different. Brad basically just walked off the station. Brad's going to have a great career. He's got a great family. They've been very supportive. They have obviously been supporting the platform. We appreciate that. But the truth is, Brad, he walked out. That's all. But, Rob Moroska, again, speaking to people, again, that, that have not a place to walk out. Blake Snell, any other thoughts you want to say there before I list a couple of other free agents of note to get you guys' opinions on before we, talk about more on the Sportswire sports show with you guys?
I think, I think Chris is probably right. I think, the Giants have a shot of signing him. He like Justin said before, these pitchers do have to sign soon, or else they're not.
I think anybody would have to sign still. I don't think it even if you're listening to Joey Votto's out there, right? Martinez is still out there, right? Michael Taylor's out there. There's some still, like some Michael Taylor hit, I think, 20 plus home runs last year. Votto's a name. Martinez has still been ballyhooed. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there that, I would think that somebody would want to take. I mean, Tommy Pham, we had him with the Mets, and he's still a free agent. I mean, so still, I would think that we're going less than 4 weeks until opening day, the real opening day. Why hasn't he signed all these other guys?
Well, and Tommy Pham's another one, in the clubhouse. I don't think he's great in the clubhouse, so that could be one of the reasons he hasn't signed. I don't know. It's weird that some of these guys have not signed yet.
This was one of the worst off seasons I can remember in baseball.
Yeah, really.
I mean, I listen to the Pinstripe Chronicle guys all the time. Uncle Tats now, Donald and Rob, and it's like you and Patrick. I've listened to your show, and I'm listening to the different shows that we have that cover baseball, and this was just, they got to, I think you talked about it, Chris, I think last week on the show with Patrick. Bobby mentioned it, I think, this week on the show. I mean, they got to do something with this offseason. This cannot be another offseason like this again. This was literally like, I mean, there was nothing to talk about. I mean, this pales into comparison to the football and to the basketball offseason. The NBA offseason, the first day, it's like, okay, you got 50 moves, and it's like you're anticipating it. Football, you know that date and you're into it. But this
as soon as it opens up, free agencies, boom, boom,
exactly.
boom, boom.
You get guys. I know, go ahead, Justin.
Even in the NHL, July 1st opens up, guys are gone.
Yeah. Exactly.
The NHL, yes, you do have that, but the NHL always depends on how marquee of a name. The NHL, but
they need the big names to be free.
Yes,
but the point is taken that the baseball has to do something with this, because to me this was like, I mean, you were like in tears just trying to find any type of information on that.
Well, here's the reality. The reality is the free agency opens up 5 days after the World Series ends. Yet obviously nobody's signing 5 days after the World Series ends. So do you push free agency to December 1st to see if guys will start signing on December 1st? I don't know what the right answer is, because baseball has had this problem for years now and I think even back like 6-7 years ago when Bryce Harper and Manny Machado signed. They didn't sign
until the very end. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
they
he
didn't
signed
sign
like
until
in
late February,
I think, right? Yeah.
Late February, almost
Yeah.
March.
Into the middle.
So-
I think spring training just opened up when they signed.
Maybe they should do like a free agency period, like open it up right after the World Series, but then it ends like at the holidays, like maybe
Christmas?
either Christmas or New Year's.
I think on our last show, I think I said something like open up free agency on Black Friday, right after Thanksgiving, go right up until Christmas, and then you freeze the rosters for the holidays, and then free agency reopens on New Year's.
Right.
Would that entice guys to sign quicker?
Maybe.
I don't know what the
Right. I don't know
what the right answer is.
Right.
There really doesn't seem to be a right answer.
And I think if there's a period, whatever period they come up with,
Yeah,
the players are not going to want to do that, right? Anything that slows them down from making money or whatever, I don't think they'll be for it. But
the players
but they need something.
It might speed things up if they're gonna want to sign faster.
Right. It might put pressure on the owners to say, all right, we got to sign you. All right.
But there has to be
Here's your 5
something.
years you want,
The baseball
7 years.
offseason, I mean, this was like in tears of the pain of the lack of activity. I mean, the other sports, football, it's okay. You're talking about the date. Basketball, it's July 1st, and it's like everything opens. Hockey, at times, depending on the player,
Right.
you can have that. But this
Also,
baseball,
too, that they're all salary. Those are all salary capped sports, and baseball's not. And, usually I don't like to really.
Bobby talked about that, and you and Patrick talked about that as well.
Yeah,
And usually I don't
it
like
needs
to
to be
really
done.
care about what Scott Boras is saying, but if what he's saying rings true, then it's a problem for baseball. He says there's about 10, 11 teams that went into the offseason saying we need to cut payroll. And so that's bad for free agency when teams are looking to shed payroll, not add it. And here you are, some 50 plus players are still out there, and a lot of prominent names are out there. You went through all the prominent hitters. Obviously, the two prominent pitchers with Snell and Montgomery, and obviously there's more, but still, it's like.
And this would not happen in any of the other leagues.
No,
you wouldn't have. You wouldn't have.
Let me ask you a question.
Former,
I heard this. I heard this on MLB Radio. I'm going to ignore this individual that commented from with the German look. I won't even say who he's trying to emulate. But is it a Scott Boras thing that owners are not wanting to play? Because again, all these guys. It was Bellinger up until recently. Snell.
There is a lot of Boras
Chapman
still out there.
Montgomery. All these guys are Boras.
You know what I think too? I think the teams are getting smarter. Right, years ago, Boras used to come to the to the table and have like a full binder of all these stats of like why, let's say it's Justin. This is why Justin is such a great hitter, and this is why he's worth $200 million.
TBK and Coach Craven, you got to pay attention. This is why Justin gets
exactly. This is why he is. But now the teams, instead of them going there with just the the basic stats. Now they're coming with the same stats or different ones and saying, well, he's not exactly that good, right? Because we have these stats that show he's worth maybe $120 million over the same
or
right?
not just that. They'll say, but in year 4, 5, 6, we're not going to see the same type of production.
Right.
So we don't really want to go to a 6-year length. And I think Blake Snell is definitely hurting from that too, because Scott Boras is trying to get him 8, 9 years when.
Yeah,
really, do you really want to?
But the way I would look at it
is 4 or 5 years with Blake Snell. I personally don't.
And I agree with you. And I look at it like this: why not just at least if I get nothing, right? Nothing equals nothing. So if I'm all these guys that I'm out there on the street, today is March 1st. Now I'm thinking, okay, we're like 20 something days till the real opening day. It doesn't do me anything if I'm getting nothing. So if I get nothing, right? So if I get nothing,
I agree.
Now, if I take something, I mean,
Bellinger, who's going to blink first, right?
And Bellinger is the perfect example here because I've been saying it for months throughout this offseason. I said, Cody Bellinger is the one guy absolutely in the free agent market from the position players that I absolutely do not want to give a long-term deal to. And he signed a 3-year, $80 million deal. But he's got opt-outs, I think, after both years.
Yep.
That's the perfect deal. And you know what? He's better off staying in Chicago, working with the similar coaches. I know Craig Counts is now there as the manager, so a couple new interchangeable pieces in the coaching staff, but still the same guys that, kind of fixed his swing a year ago and brought him back to pre-COVID Cody Bellinger when he was MVP in 2019, Rookie of the Year in 2017. But think about this. You wouldn't say this in any other sport. What guy with a Rookie of the Year and an MVP on his resume has a chance to become a free agent for 3 straight off seasons? Right. If Bellinger opts out, he's a free agent for a 3rd straight off season.
I would tell you that the reason that is because the seasons outside of those years, other than this year, are so poor.
Right.
Similar to Blake Snell. Blake Snell's got the 2 Cy Youngs, but other than those Cy Young years, what does he have to show for it? So if I'm a team, I don't trust giving him a long-term lock-in because the baseball card tells me, going back to the Boris reference.
And what makes it hard for Snell to be signing now, Snell is like willing to sign a contract like Bellinger's, right? With the opt-out after each year, a short deal, like a 3-year deal. But now a team doesn't want to give up, doesn't want to sign him to a short deal because there's draft picks attached to him.
Yep.
Right? Because right. So, and a team like the Yankees, they have draft picks. They also have now the salary tax, right? Any amount of money, they're doubling that they got to pay. So if it's 30,
right, then what's the excuse for Montgomery? Montgomery got traded midseason, meaning he's ineligible for the qualifying.
Right. I don't know what's going on there. Montgomery should be signed. It makes no sense, and he's more consistent. And he's only gotten better.
And to me, yes, Jordan Montgomery to me projects further out much better than Blake Snell does. I think Blake Snell, the best is probably behind him. You might get a couple of good years in year 1 and 2, but ultimately,
even Kershaw re-signed back with a short-term deal with the Dodgers a few weeks ago. Right?
Well, he's also going to miss half the season, but I think he got a 1-year deal with an option for a second. Because really, it's a 2-year deal for him.
We talked about him, and
he's not going to opt out. He's only going to pitch half a season.
Stay in LA and ride this out. I'll go over the list because we're here, and I'm actually enjoying the conversation. So if I enjoy the conversation, I'm the man that actually runs the platform. I think then we'll continue to talk. So my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. I'm here alongside Rob Marassi, Chris Pizzet, and Justin Gino. We love all the presenters. We love all the podcasts on here, and as I said, we are Sportswire Radio. When I was talking about you guys coming on here, but Michael Lorenzen's a free agent. That's a guy that certainly has a credible resume. He was an all-star this year.
As a back end of the rotation swing guy,
Yankees, I would think, why didn't somebody take a look at him? Brandon Belt's a free agent. That's a guy who's got some resume. That's a guy that I would think that people might want.
Good backup first baseman for you.
Yeah, got a little bit of power. Michael Taylor, I mentioned, that's a guy that's certainly had some success. I would think that that's somebody that would sign. We mentioned Tommy Pham. Rob talks about maybe it's the issues off the field or in the clubhouse. Okay, I could buy that. You got also Mike Clevenger's out there. Okay, he's okay.
Off the field.
He's had some issues.
Yeah, I think that's
you gotta remember some of these guys too that you're mentioning.
Martinez is obviously another big one.
Yeah,
Martinez.
Right. I mean, JD, but some of these guys are solid players, but then the team is saying, you know what? I got this guy, this prospect that I could just bring up and probably give us about the same amount of numbers for next to nothing compared to what we're gonna have to sign him. So why not? And most of the bigger teams are basically set with their roster. Like I wouldn't mind signing if I'm the Yankees signing Lorenzen, but there's really no roster spots open right now. We don't need a starter. Yeah, if one of the starters went down, I would go after him in a heartbeat, or even Snell's. But I just don't see that happening.
Boris is a problem, though. If you think back, look at what happened with Michael Conforto too.
Yeah, good point. I was thinking about that.
It's just I mean, come on. Who wants to sign? You're right. Who wants to sign Sell to like 8 years? That would be a bad contract. bad contract.
You can't blame a team. Just like at the beginning of the show when you guys came on, we talked about Bauer and why Bauer wouldn't sign. Conforto, you bring up a couple years ago, he had some injuries and some other things, and you wouldn't want to sign him to a long deal. And then you talk about Snell. Snell's a guy that we've already went through the back of the baseball card. Bellinger's a guy with the back of the baseball card. So those guys make sense. Montgomery is kind of, I don't know really what the logic is there with that. But these other guys, you mentioned, okay, maybe you make a point that they're middle of the road players. Every team has them. Maybe when the first week of the season comes, second week, and somebody gets hurt, these guys get a big deal and get filled in. But if you're that Michael Lorenzen, if you're that Michael Taylor, if you're that Brandon Bell, but maybe more so a Taylor, a Clevenger, or a Lorenzen, maybe Clevenger not even so much because of the off the field, but let's take Lorenzen and Taylor, guys that are established biggers, and Tommy Pham. I'll throw Tommy Pham in there. Wouldn't it, though, make sense for you to be on a team to start the season? Because don't you want to be able to get into playing?
Yeah, you want to know where you're going to play too.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. I think it's
it just came up. Matt Chapman signed with the Giants.
Okay, Matt Chapman with the Giants.
He's got two opt-outs.
Live news on Sportswire. Live news. That's what we want to do on Sportswire.
We'll 3 year, $54 million, $20 million the first year, 18, then 16. And 2 opt-outs, so I guess after year 1 and
Well,
year
I'll
2.
tell you what, because we actually now have the ability to share the screen, I will, as soon as I get a chance, I'll actually pull up the news because we can actually do that now on Sportswire Radio. So I'm actually going to pull it up here. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pull
John
it up.
Heyman is the...
John Heyman, yep.
And that's on Twitter because I'll actually be able to pull it up for you right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. How about that? You get real-time news on Sportswire.
Makes sense because they don't have... They had Flores, I think, as their third baseman. So if you put, Chapman there instead of
no.
JD Davis.
Yeah, JD Davis was the third. Wilmer's been playing a lot of first base.
Yeah, Chapman's got the bat. I mean the glove more than the
glove.
other
Yeah,
guys, so.
Got it here. Yep, 2 years. It's a 20 million, 18 million, 16 million, 54 million total. 2 opt-outs. So that's the breaking news there. Matt Chapman, literally
3 years, 54 million.
You like that? 3 years, 54 million.
That's not bad with the opt-out.
Honestly, that's a steal of a price for the Giants.
Yeah, I guess so because his bat's not great though.
But the Giants desperately needed offense. I mean, the Giants were a team that was
great
trying.
Glove. I mean, the guy's a Gold Glove.
If you look at the last 2 off seasons, the Giants were trying so hard to get the big fishes, and they couldn't do it. Now, I don't know if this is the big fish.
It wouldn't shock me if they don't get Snell too because they need pitching. They need a starter.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. If the Giants were to get Snell and they add Chapman, does that make the Giants a team that could maybe snatch a wild card? They won what?
Definitely.
They won 80
a wild card. Yeah. Because
think about
80
games last year.
I look at it this way. There's only really one wild card open, right? Because you figure the D-backs will probably get one or the Dodgers, whoever doesn't finish first in the West.
I still say Dodgers.
The Dodgers are going to win by 20.
All right. Yeah. I don't think it'd be that much, but all right. So let's put the D-backs up second, right? So they get the 1 wild card. The East, obviously the Phillies, right? That's 2 wild cards. So now the 3rd wild card is up for grabs, and it could be for anybody. And the Giants, they're as good as anybody for that 3rd wild card.
I mean, you're the Giants. You look at that would
with
be a
Snell. Team. With Snell, you could argue the Giants are better than Arizona. I think
no.
You know what?
No, the D-backs is still good. Look at that team.
They made some moves this offseason.
Yeah, they're still
moves, good. I think there could. I worry about a slight regression for the D-backs. I kind of do.
That's possible. I'm not going to say no.
I mean, they weren't much more. I mean, they weren't much more than a 500 team last year. They did win 84 games.
Right, but they did get to the World Series.
Yep,
they got hot at the right time.
Right. That's all. That's all you got to do.
And if you want to follow, obviously, some of the guys here, you can actually do that right here. If we got Chris on Twitter, first of all, make sure you follow him in real time because we've actually got to share the screen now. You can follow him. You got Rob Maraska. Going to make sure we give him a follow. A little plug here while we're talking. Rob Maraska, follow him out there on Twitter as well. And he also has said another great episode, and we'll give another share there, right there. How about that in real time? And then we got Justin Gianelli. You're going to follow him also. Well, I'm already following him, but for you out there in the audience, you could follow him. J Gianelli 91, right? 91, right? 91. 12. Oh, Instagram is 91. J Gianelli 12. Oh, there we go. There you go. Comes up there. And if you want to give him a follow, you can do that right now. So if that's in real time following, so follow these guys and we'll leave it up there. And also, they've got some shows ahead. Talking Rivals is on sportswireradio.org. Liftoff Jets. I always like to play it on Sundays because you're the one football show I've got. So I like to still keep that tradition playing it on Sundays. We've got some great shows. We've got Neil Villapiano, Devil's State of Mind, Pinstripe Chronicles are around. Talking Rivals get played throughout the week. Randy has the hockey fan chat. He had the Isles girl, Kimberly Moisa, on the show not too long ago. Really interesting episode. Isles girl, of course, another Twitter, YouTube sensation. Some other great podcasts out there, so you want to check it out. So, okay, Snell is out there. We talked about Montgomery. Bellinger, we spoke about. Any other storylines so far in this early spring training you guys want to talk about?
The jerseys? That have a problem with the jerseys.
Yeah.
Are you buying one? Are you not buying one?
I'm definitely not going to buy one until
No.
we figure it out. That's for sure.
I mean,
as a Yankee fan,
we all know what the real controversy with these jerseys are.
yeah.
Yes.
Well, and supposedly this is. I was reading an article today with that's the one. I was reading that, and basically, Fanatics put it together the way Nike and MLB wanted it. So it's not Fanatics' problem; it's MLB's, and MLB got their information from the players who tested it out. They wanted it to be lighter, so that's why there's no stitching. It's more, pressed on stuff. So it's a weird situation. Everybody's going to be pointing fingers.
So they also wanted the pants to reveal a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think we wanted it to be lighter.
I don't know if that's the way I would want to go about it. I mean, maybe, if I was watching, I don't know, women's sports, some people might want that. I wouldn't necessarily endorse that on Sportswire because we are a family station, but, I don't know the logic on that, but I guess it'll be a topic of discussion. I mean, Fanatics has been making these uniforms for a while. And
it's just crazy to me that Major League Baseball finds a way to screw up everything that they do. Everything.
But also baseball uniforms, but if you take a step back, baseball uniforms are so iconic, right? We think about the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Cubs, the Tigers used to be in that realm, the Giants, the Dodgers, baseball, the other sports, okay, you put basketball changes every month, football makes changes, hockey, they changed from Reebok to Adidas, and everything changes, right? CCM used to make the jerseys years ago, if you remember, for hockey. But baseball has always been so iconic. Baseball is kind of something that's not supposed to have changed, and yet baseball makes these changes, and it seems like they do a worse job in harming a brand that, still needs an identity to fix.
And here's a bigger issue. I noticed some inconsistency here because we talked about the smaller nameplates, right? But when I was actually catching a glimpse of tonight's Dodgers game on MLB Network, and when you look at Ohtani's jersey, you could see the smaller name, right? The smaller nameplate. But then you go look at a guy like Tyler Glasnow or Miguel Rojas, it looks regular. So what is it? Which one is it?
Right.
So why does the Rojas nameplate look regular, but Ohtani's not? It's only one extra letter.
And the stick on and not stitching is really bad. That it's bad. I hate that.
Right. It doesn't look good at all.
It doesn't.
And the sad news here, which I know was earlier this week, but Tim Wakefield's wife dies. Really sad news. Want to send my condolences there. And only 53. And certainly Tim Wakefield, a huge part of the baseball world, especially for Red Sox fans. And just, what a journey, what a career. And unfortunately, she passes away not too long after he did. Yeah, very sad news. I mean, 53.
And 5 months? 5 months apart.
About that,
right here. Real time statement. Yeah, I mean, he was 57 and she was 53. I mean, just really terrible there. Just terrible news. And unfortunately, my mouse doesn't work anymore. But okay, let me pull this right back up. There we go. But yeah, I mean, these things do happen, and we wish to hope to send condolences to them. And I'm going to actually pull this off the screen because I'm without a mouse. Because at this point, we'll be sitting there all day with that. So, I mean, obviously, jerseys are an issue. I guess then you guys won't be buying these new jerseys, just to confirm.
No.
Not until they fix it. I mean, it's like iron-ons. I'd rather buy an older one. You know,
and the older one would be worth more anyway because of the value of it.
Yeah.
See, you guys don't remember something, but
is it 1949?
Yeah, no.
How far are we going back?
Ted Williams in 41.
I'm going to the late 70s, and I'm going to talk about how bad the Mets uniforms were. That people made fun of them because they were horrible. They didn't have stitching, and it was the press-on stuff. And those uniforms looked horrible. That was right.
What were they? The blue ones? Is that the blue Met jerseys?
Yeah, and it was all
like the weird looking logo.
Horrible.
It was just the Mets. It wasn't the whole league. It was just
the Mariners. Right? Didn't the Mariners have a bad looking jersey? Didn't the White Sox?
Mariners did, but that was years later.
The White Sox, the Indians had some bad when they were called the Indians. I mean,
White Sox had shorts one year. You guys know that?
Yeah,
right?
I remember that.
I don't remember they had shorts.
Yeah,
no.
Chris will remember that. You didn't. You don't know about that, Tom? Look that up. It's crazy.
I would actually put it on the screen. I could maybe let me try.
It looked like a softball. It looks like a softball team.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. How are they going to slide and steal bases? Oh, that was the worst. That was the worst.
It was really bad.
I'll tell you what. We'll pull it up here for fun. White Sox.
Yeah, that was crazy.
It was probably like 78, 79, 80, right?
Yeah, it was.
Late 70s. Really bad.
Yeah.
And it's not one of those really bad, but it's really good. No, it's just really bad.
It was bad. It was
like sometimes jerseys are bad, and you're like, all right, you know what? I kind of like that now.
Well, there you go. That's it. Chicago White Sox in shorts. I'm not quite sure what the logic is. Let me see if it pulls up.
Do you guys remember?
There we go.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah, oh my God, that was a look.
Something tells me that that ain't happening again.
How did the players be like, oh yeah, this is great? You know, I'm surprised they didn't say no. We're not walking around.
I think they were getting paid, right? So I guess the old adage is if you're getting paid, you know, that's maybe they
be a 30 for 30 on them one day.
Maybe they would have liked it in a way because if you're in the summer, you're wearing shorts, isn't it? You know, cooler, I suppose. I don't know.
Do you guys remember the old? This I think it was 1999. The futuristic baseball uniforms.
Oh, they were awful.
And the Mets wore the Mercury Mets.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I don't remember.
I think Seattle had one. The Mets.
Seattle had one. Yeah. The Mets had one. I think they played the Pirate. I think they played the Pirates.
Yeah, they probably had one. That. Yeah, it was weird.
All you have to do, all you gotta do is Google Oral Hershiser Mets because Hershiser was the starting pitcher that day. Google Oral Hershiser Mets. The Mercury Mets photo is gonna come up.
The Mercury.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That was hilarious, but it's not as bad as those White Sox uniforms.
No,
of all time.
Are we talking this right here? Is this what I'm looking at?
Probably.
Let me pull it up. Oh, I just took it off the screen. Is that what we're talking about here? Mercury.
Oh,
Mets?
yeah.
Yeah.
It was Ray Ordonez too.
Look.
I don't remember this. They wore Mercury Mets jerseys.
Yeah.
How long was this? A game? 2 games? Did every team? The Yankees didn't do this, right?
No.
Yeah, it was in '99 because Hershiser wore it. So
only certain teams did it. I don't know why. You know, I don't know who was picked or why they were picked.
And look at the baseball cap. It's ridiculous.
Oh my God!
But they don't even look good. The back is okay. I could deal with the back.
Yeah, now I would say though this would be certainly quite a memento if you have one of these jerseys. I would think it'd be worth something.
Have you ever seen one at a game? I've never seen somebody wearing it.
No,
I didn't even know. I don't remember this existing. I don't have any.
I remember it.
Yeah.
So I'm looking it up here. July 27th, 1999, and here's a shot of Ricky Henderson, Robin Ventura, some of the guys from the '99 Mets.
They could not have been happy about wearing those.
With those names, Henderson, Ventura, yeah, those guys.
You're talking about veterans, and they're like, they're probably looking at it like, look at this. We got to walk around.
Hershiser's a veteran too at that time. He was near the
end.
Yeah.
And it was during a good season for the Mets. It's not like they were doing bad and
No, they won like 96 games that year.
Yeah, it was one of their better seasons.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. That certainly, I don't.
I forgot what promotion. That was some kind of promotion. I forgot what it was, though.
Well, it wasn't good enough because they didn't wear him again, right?
No.
I mean, they couldn't have been that good. I mean, they didn't wear him again. So, but yeah, okay. Well, hopefully they don't have that experience. But yeah, I don't think I'd want to see that on my screen. In fact, I'm going to take it off my screen right now because I'm sick and tired of seeing it. So yeah, baseball jerseys, no good. We'll see about that. Spring training games are in play. We'll certainly get close with that. Obviously, we're going to get ready for the start of the season here shortly. Padres and Dodgers, kind of the soft start of the season, and the rest of the season takes place in less than 30 days from now. Obviously, we'll recap and preview some of these things on next week's show. We will be back on the air next week once again for another show. So obviously, we'll see kind of this wrestling versus the regular sports. Although I'm kind of tempted to see actually now, maybe we should do some type of contest on the air between the different presenters. That might actually.
I would love it.
I think we should. I don't know what it would be.
What?
Trivia, maybe trivia or something. It has to be something. We do have to share the screen, which is cool. We do have that. We could do something. I think maybe we should kind of come up with that. We'll put a chat up between. We'll get because some of the wrestling guys. I mean, Randy's in the Twitter group, but the other guys like TBK and Coach are not on Twitter. So maybe we'll think of something in the next days. So maybe we'll do something like next month. Maybe next month we'll have like our own version of the old MTV, Rock'em Jock'em games. They'd have like the Rock versus the Jocks, which was kind of fun. That was for a period of time when they used to.
It's just hard to do trivia because they don't all know. They obviously don't.
Yeah, well, maybe we could do something in a middle ground. Movies, a middle ground.
I'm down. I can
definitely. Hey, Tom, you need the Yak Attack to host that.
The Yak Attack. No, the Yak Attack. Jacob Bard, one of our, loyalists who sometimes listens, but was a co-host of mine. We did a movie podcast before COVID. Yeah. But he wouldn't even remember how to tie his shoes. But we love the Yak Attack. He's a loyal, very loyal friend of mine. But I don't know if he'd be the host. But I can certainly, I think, do an okay job. But we'll actually think of a middle ground. Maybe we'll do something that everybody. So there's no advantage. Movies might be a neutral ground because you can't say one group has one over the other. Maybe the winner will get like more airtime on a week on Sportswire. I don't know if that's the right way to go about it because the sports guys have actually been on the platform longer than, except Randy, the wrestling guys, because Randy's been here for a while. But I think that we have to do something. So we'll think of something. We'll figure it out. But I think anything else you guys want to talk about before closing doors? Anything else you guys want to bring up? Anything else in the world that's on your mind that people should know about?
Well, I actually did see some breaking news. I know we don't talk a ton of NBA, but Russell Westbrook fractured his hand tonight, and that's a big blow to a Clippers team that's playing some good basketball.
And Kawhi, they've had some issues with too, right?
Yeah, Kawhi's been in and out. Actually, Paul George has more so been in and out of the lineup lately. Kawhi's been relatively healthy over the last month or two, but the Clippers in what's a wide open Western Conference.
Oh my God, the West this year is just like a total crapshoot.
Losing Russell Westbrook for any significant amount of time, even though he's more of a bench role, but the way he runs the second unit kind of keeps the Clipper offense kind of flowing. It's not an insignificant news.
No, especially with 6 weeks left. It's about 6 or 7 weeks left in the season. You get
the Lakers start to seem like they're getting hot, so that's gonna be another team in the Western Conference that could,
It's been a weird season. Phoenix has never really gotten it together. You've had the Warriors certainly not really gotten it together as a whole. The Lakers are turning it around. Utah.
The two teams that have been really consistent in the Western Conference have been Oklahoma City and Minnesota.
I mean,
But then again, Oklahoma City loses to San Antonio last night.
Well, and Milwaukee beat Minnesota last. I watched the Milwaukee-Minnesota game.
The Bucks are starting to play better with Doc Rivers.
Bucks are starting to play better. We'll see there.
The Knicks are littered with injuries.
Knicks are just
all their big players.
I think the Knicks are going to be lucky. The Knicks might be lucky to hang on out of the top six. They might hang on.
Considering Randall's not due back anytime soon, Anunoby's not due back anytime soon, they're in a tough spot, and they're forced to basically play Isaiah Hartenstein with a sore Achilles because they got nobody else. So
they just and that's why I think
they can't afford to sit him a few games.
And that's why I'd be curious to see if you still hang on and not be in the play-in, but we'll obviously still see. And I've been kind of down on basketball because the Nets have just been Nets
have been awful.
It's been an awful season for the Nets, so I think that's kind of been my thing. And obviously, with Brad not being here, I really haven't found much of a reason to talk the NBA because that was Brad's kind of signature moment. But like I said, we move on, we digress. John Gonzalez claims he's talking to Brad Weiss about coming back, but that's why I put out what I wanted to say out there so he hears it. So obviously, I'm sure now we'll see what happens there. But like I said before we move on, the door is open. The door is always open on Sportswire. All you got to do is say, hey, I couldn't come on the platform for different reasons, and water would be under the bridge. So we'll see. Obviously, we'll see what the future brings. Never say never, but let's get to some closing thoughts. Rob Maraska, I'm going to you first. Obviously, it was good to be back with everybody. We'll be here next Friday again, and I'm sure we'll try to come up with some clever things on the platform, which we're working on. We are working on maybe some live streaming of sorts, and we'll see what that goes. But until then, Rob, I would like to give you the floor. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say, and fire away.
Yeah, good show, guys. This was fun. It was fun chatting about all these different things tonight. So
yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, it was. I was gonna announce the contest tonight, but next week I'm gonna announce it because I'm tweaking, what I'm gonna give away. So next week I will.
Not a Trevor Bauer card though, right? No Trevor Bauer card.
Nah.
Not a Trevor Bauer jersey. Which one?
No. You'll just have to wait till next week. But anyway, okay. If anybody wants to follow me, or Maraska on Twitter /X, whatever, and Rob Maraska on Facebook. And guys, another great show.
This was good. This was definitely good, actually. We had a lot of fun. Coach Craven certainly was trying to poke the bear, but I think we pushed back a little bit. We have maybe something we're working on, and I see this Africa virus person putting Africa many times. Thank you for tuning in from wherever you might be trying to spam our account, but make sure while you do that, hit that sub button for us in the meantime. But Chris, want to give you the floor, want to give you some closing thoughts. Obviously, I enjoyed the Talking Rivals this week. We continue to have it in the rotation. I'm going to play the Liftoff Jets on today. You had a really great one last week, by the way, with Daily News got reported. You guys were kind of talking a number of different things. I didn't think about how reporters get knocked for not being Jet fans. I didn't realize that was kind of a thing so much with you and
all the Jet fans hate all the beat writers. So
I didn't realize that was a thing. Honestly, I didn't realize that sports fans hated the reporters of the team. I didn't really think that was a.
You know what it is? The Jets have been so bad that. They always they report what's going on.
Sharman made that point in the conversation. Sharman was talking about that. I'm really catching what Sharman said. It's been 14 years. You got to understand we haven't won.
So like, that guy hates the Jets. That guy always hates the Jets. I'm like, he's just reporting the truth.
By the way, speaking of beat reporters, I know it's been like 3 or 4 years now. Did Manish Mehta go into like witness protection or something? Like he's just like gone. He disappeared.
I just seen him pop up on somebody's podcast, one of the Jet podcasts. I don't know which one, but I know someone said it. I'm like, why would you even want to, like, who cares what, at this point?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know where he went. I don't know who he's covering or, I didn't bother.
It's a hard field to make an income in if you're not on a way of a form of communicating or reporting. I don't know how you make money out there like that.
I'm sure he got a job somewhere. Maybe something else, maybe different kind of reporting.
We'll take them on Sportswire. I mean, I'll take anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll take them.
Hell, I covered high school sports in college. I couldn't.
Hey, listen, we on Sportswire we do a lot. We actually have stuff coming up with the Five Towns program. We have done high school in the past, so we do. Again, we are the home of backyard wrestling. So for Sportswire, we really do cover everything. So I mean, I want to put it out there that we will give anybody a platform that wants it, which is why we have actually grown as much as we have. So, but Chris, I digress. You have the floor and your closing thoughts. And what else would you like to say?
Thanks, Tom. Guys, great show as always. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm a Yankee fan, so I'm really excited about this season. Get a chance to see, Soto and Judge.
Yeah, Bobby was praising it on the Chronicles, guys. He was so fired up, Bobby, what he saw this week.
Yeah, you got to be fired up. I'm not even thinking about, if he leaves as a free agent, if we can't sign him. You know what? I know we got him for this year, and that's all I'm worried about. So I'm excited about this year. Everybody's healthy right now. I'm sure the injuries will be coming soon, but right now it's good. Everybody's healthy, so I'm really looking forward to this season. It's got a chance to be a really good one, so we'll see. But we'll be following it. We'll be covering it on Talking Rivals, at Talking Rivals. Follow me at CP7NY. We'll be following free agency and the draft with the NFL.
NFL draft is not that far away at all. From now that we're in March, it's only less than 7 weeks away or something like that.
Yeah,
it's not that far away.
Free agency will be in another week or two, so should be good, man. It's gonna be a lot of big names.
We get combines coming up in a few weeks too, right? Doesn't the combine start
now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Combines now.
Go.
Yeah. So listen, the NFL is never off. There's never an off season.
Yeah, I remember once upon a time NFL free agency, NFL off season was like, that's it. The Super Bowl ends, nothing.
Yeah.
The NFL off season has become
it's crazy.
What baseball off season has become. Baseball 24, NFL is 24/7. It was a time,
and there's always drama with the NFL. Now
but that's what people want. And we talked about it with baseball tonight. Baseball didn't have that this year. Football has become a 24/7 thing around.
Yep. And you know what? Football's going to take over in another week or two when free agency opens up. That's going to be a big thing. And then in a few weeks after that, it's the draft. So the NFL is never
and then July ain't that far after that.
Right. It's never off. The NFL, they just crank out drama. So we'll be covering it on Liftoff Jets at Liftoff Jets, and myself, like I said, CP7NY.
And I promise that I will get on the platform to induct the show, but it probably won't be until next month, unfortunately, because this month is
no problem.
I'm out. But next month,
the door's open, so you just
definitely. But I really want to induct the show because I do think it's important to me because I think that you guys have done a great job in seeing. You guys have had some really good guests. I think one of the points I said during the wrestling guys is that trying to say you guys are very credible. I mean, you guys especially the lift. I think. Not to take away from talking rivals, but Liftoff Jets, you guys have had some really good guests the last couple months. Some really really credible guests that
I gotta try with talking rivals too. I'd like to get some other maybe one of the beat reporters or something for either the Yankees or the Red Sox.
I know I always suggest it, but Ernest is I think a good one because he's got a great following
and he's got a lot of great knowledge too. You can see
Ernest has got a big following. He's on the team. I think he's always a good one because he's doing the podcast circuit and he's looking to obviously expand his channel on YouTube. So I think Ernest is always a good one. I even say crossover with Bobby and his gang. Bobby's always doing 3-4 times a week with the shows, and they do Pinstripe Chronicles After Dark. I would think Bobby would be good with his show because they've got a big following. I mean, those guys have exploded. I mean, they've really done a phenomenal job.
I jumped on the girls' their show on Sundays a couple of times.
I got I love Lynn and Chris. I just think that maybe it's the timing, but Bobby's it's always I know Bobby's on. Bobby's on.
3 times a week. I think that's
and he does Pinstripe After Dark. He does a show after dark.
Wow.
I catch him there too. So Bobby's he has done a phenomenal job.
Maybe
he might have listened to my advice. Maybe he did, but he just really
I mean, baseball's much easier to talk. I could talk baseball every day. It's so much, you can get into so many different. There's so many different avenues to talk about with baseball. So it's a lot, but it's also easy when you love the game. We love it.
I think
Justin, we could talk baseball every day if we really wanted to. Spring training, off season.
But I think that's why you guys have stood the test of time. I think with the talking rivals. Before I get to Justin, I think that's why also Bobby, Rob, and Donald have stood the test of time because of the fact that you guys are knowledgeable and you have the passion. Ernest as well. Ernest certainly has done really good with his, attraction shows. And I think that shows, Randy, is with the hockey thing. Well, it's what we try to do on sports, but we have credible presenters. Neil Villapiano's done a great job with the Devil's State of Mind. We have great presenters in the different sports. We're not just wrestling. That's why, as I said, with the wrestling guys, we like to be Sportswire because we're not just wrestling. Yes, that's a large part of the new audience. The new people see us as wrestling, but the heritage of the brand is the radio station. And that's really the heritage of the really crossover that we have. So I believe in that, and I will continue to do that because I'm the man in charge. So basically, we're going to keep having the podcast, and I enjoy all of them. So you can follow Chris at CP7NY on Instagram and Twitter. We're going to see him next Friday as well. And Justin, I turn it over to you last. Certainly good to be back with all the guys, and I'm looking forward to some new things we're going to try, and we'll see what the future is of Brute Force. Brad Weiss, Billy McInerney is always welcome, and I turn it over to you, Justin. Floor is yours. Fire away.
Thanks, Tom, Chris, Rob. Another great week. Great to be back. Listen, we've reached March, and you know what that
March
means.
Madness. I saw the commercial. Yep.
March Madness is on its way. We're about a couple weeks away from Selection Sunday. I believe it's if I'm not
17th?
mistaken, I believe March 17th is
Gotta
Selection
set up
Sunday.
a fantasy thing so we could all do a bracket challenge.
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll do
Actually,
a little tournament bracket. Nobody will ever get the champion, right? Because that's just the way it works. Right. Our brackets will be busted by 3:30 on Thursday. But
probably, yeah.
I mean, listen. Locally, there's a couple teams to watch. Obviously, St. John's with Rick Pitino
coming on.
They've kind of righted the ship a little bit. We'll see whether or not they are
bubble
a tournament. They're a tournament team. Seton Hall looks like to be a tournament team. They've played really well. They're in the top. They're in the top half of the Big East Conference right now. Rutgers, they've kind of been up and down. Obviously, being in the Big Ten kind of helps them because
it's like a few years ago. Was it COVID when Rutgers got in with that really poor record? You just never know with your strength of schedule.
Yeah, and being in the Big Ten helps you a little bit because they always take more teams out of the Big Ten.
Strength of schedule
than a conference like the Big East. One team that's been a staple of, and they're not having a bad year, but one team that's been a staple of March Madness that's kind of on the fence this year is Gonzaga. Now, Gonzaga's not having a bad year. They're 20. I think they're 24-6. But when you're in a conference like they are,
but your RPI is going to be lower than
and you in those kinds of conferences, you're usually just getting the champion. And St. Mary's has had a phenomenal year, and they're probably the favorites. Now, Gonzaga could also knock them off in the conference tournament, and they win the conference.
But they may not get in if they don't win the conference title,
right? And obviously, we'll see how some of the other local teams do when it comes, like a St. Peter's. When it comes to the conference tournament, we'll
you got to
see
win. St. Peter's, you got to win. You're in the NEC, you got to win that conference.
Exactly. Like FDU, St. Peter's. Yeah. Those are the conferences you absolutely have to win.
Stony Brook,
yeah. So we'll see what happens, but March is going to be great. Obviously, baseball is heating up with spring training.
I'm excited for real baseball to come. I know we're having fun here, we're back, but I'm looking forward to some baseball games to talk about because
for sure. The Yankees open up in Houston against the Astros, the Mets with the Brewers at Citi Field on March 28th. It's going to be exciting.
And you know what? It's good really because like Francesca always said, February and March are tough months to talk sports. If you really think about it, when football ends. Yes, okay, college basketball, but it's like NBA is like very much a fickle sport, and it's also a sport that's really like really is not heats up until the postseason. Hockey,
exactly.
And we started as a hockey station, but most people don't tune in for us for hockey. So really, baseball, there is a heritage of people that want to hear baseball. So I think baseball coming back will be good to talk about because right now it's a tough time. Other than talking about off-season news, college basketball, unless like St. John's was really good, Seton Hall was really, really there, Syracuse, but even then it's still
locally you're just not getting much, and the NBA you got a pretty good Knicks team.
Knicks are okay.
The Nets stink. The Devils and Islanders kind of have trouble finding.
Islanders won a couple games in a row.
It's like one step up, 2 steps back. One step up, 2 steps back. And obviously the Rangers are a for sure Stanley Cup favorite.
Yeah, I mean the NHL. Look, the Islanders, and Devils they have a shot. I think the Devils have a better shot, but the Islanders.
Even though we're losing to Anaheim tonight, which is a little disgusting, but
the Devils have just. Neil's talked about it. The Islanders have turned it around.
Frustrating.
Couple wins in a row. I don't know though if really the Islanders are going to.
Hard to trust either team. Part of me thinks that at the end of the day, both are going to struggle to stay over 500. The Islanders are going to be 5 over. Yeah, I think
if they're lucky. If they're lucky, they'll be 5 over. The Devils are 4 over or 5 over?
Not much. It's not much.
I think it's going to be if they get 88, 89 points, which is not in the NHL making the playoffs.
No, not at all. So,
I don't know. I think both teams have a lot of flaws. Islanders have aged.
They've got to start rebuilding. They got to sell at the deadline. Whoever they can.
I'd sell Brock Nelson, and that would be, get a couple players back. I know fan base.
He's only got 1 more year left. Are you really going to sign him to a contract?
That's why I would move him. I think Lee
Definitely.
has no value. I think that's the guy I move and see what I could get for Varlamov. I mean, see there. He's another guy.
The Devils have a massive goaltending and I think a third pairing defensive issue too. They need more defensemen. I don't think it's getting talked about as enough how much losing Ryan Graves and losing Damon Severson has gone to this defensive core. Now, Simone Nemitz has done good stepping in for Dougie Hamilton. He's been out pretty much all season. But, the Devils have a lot of work to do. And, I just don't know if it's too little too late right now.
Well, I mean, the rule of thumb is before we sign off, if you're not in a playoff spot on this date, the odds of being in the postseason are low. But, the Islanders did make it last year, not being in a playoff spot at this year. There are examples. Ottawa years back had a famous run. So, you can do it. Vancouver's done it before in the past. There are teams that have done it. We'll have to see. Obviously, Neil and Randy talk about that on sportswireradio.org, but great stuff. Justin, we can follow you on Instagram at JGNelly12, JGNelly91 on Instagram. And ladies and gentlemen, it was an interesting day on Sportswire Radio. We certainly talked the gauntlet of all things related to the world of sports, and we're going to be back here today on a couple of different shows. We'll have Mr. Judgment to be inducted into the Hall of Fame to join Rob Maraska, Chris Pizzea, and Justin Gianelli. And then we'll have the general manager of EBW. That'll be Mr. Freak Show. So you have a doubleheader, and then we'll be here Sunday for another doubleheader. Skulls, our old buddy Skulls, joins the Hall of Fame. And I'm back on commentary calling a match with James Taylor and Anthony Steele. But until then, my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling, where all wrestling matters on Sports by Radio. We were joined with three of our Hall of Famers: Justin Gianelli of the Baseball Banter, Rob Maraska, longest tenured analyst, contest man, and the co-host of the Talking Rivals and the Liftoff Jets, Chris Pizzea. If you're on sportswireradio.org, you're going back to your regularly scheduled programming. If you're on Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter, I'll be back here for a doubleheader starting at 7 o'clock tonight. Until then, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, on the number one global radio station that is Sportswire Radio, where all wrestling matters.